What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another edition of the evolution of Sports Talk Television. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake. And how do we start off this show? As you know them, you love them, you got to have them on a happy hump day edition. Absolutely. Bring the passion, bring your excitement. Just don't bring any nonsense. On tonight's show, we will have Louie from the Frozen Pirate podcast talking what else about your Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Todd Bowles with some comments, Jason Light with some comments, Baker hate out there, say it isn't so. Once again, the national media hating on the starting quarterback of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Imagine that. Imagine that, as that's what the national media does every year, and the Bucs always prove them wrong. So we'll have Louie on coming up here in a couple minutes. May have Harry the Greek. Didn't put it in the intro. You know why, Harry? Because you're always a part of the show. You're the co-host of the show, professional handicapper extraordinaire. Always welcome. So we'll have an hour of Bucs talk. We will talk some Rays. Not so good today as they fall to the Pittsburgh Pirates 4-2. That's what happens when you go against a pitcher like Paul Skeens, one of the most impressive pitchers out there. So go 7 innings. Rays have no answer. Brandon Lau not in the lineup. Have no idea why. I guess for Curtis Mead, which it seemed like that really worked out so well there. Right? No, it did not work out well. Didn't work out for the Rays, but it's always like Meatloaf says when it comes to your Tampa Bay Rays, who, by the way, are 4-2. 2 out of 3 ain't bad. That's exactly what they were able to do versus the Pirates. So now they go on the road. The real challenge happens. We'll see what this pitching can do. Once again, Ryan Pepio, only 2 earned runs. I mean, the pitching has been fantastic. The hitting, for the most part, besides today, has been fantastic. So if you want to talk Tampa Bay Rays baseball, you can. Give me your initial thoughts. At 9 o'clock, we will have the legend himself, Mr. Leo Haggerty, former Coach Scout and now media member of Night Sports Productions and Amped Up Sports, talking what else? Women's Final Four, which is coming to the Bay Area, and our own Mr. Leo himself, the legend, will be covering it for Amped Up Sports. And then at 9:30, because I've been, criticized once again. I feel like I'm the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, always being criticized by you guys out there, you webheads or people that are not satisfied. You guys never talk Tampa Bay Lightning hockey. Guess what? Tonight we do. As they took care of business over the New York Islanders 4-1, Vasilevsky once again superior. He's been like that. What was like a goals per average 1.90, only giving 1 goal a game. I mean, he's showing right now he's the best goalie in the league, could be up for the Vezina. So we'll talk to Shooter from Shooter and Stash about your Tampa Bay Lightning. I said your Tampa Bay Lightning. You are still in the thick of it. And then after that, if that wasn't enough, because you guys are kind of like just pushing me to do these shows earlier and earlier. We've been doing 3-hour shows. Turnbuckle Talk at 10 o'clock. What a promo by John Cena versus Cody Rhodes and CM Punk, as I said, in the main event. If that's not enough, I don't know what else you want here. 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Get on the phone lines. I put out the question today on social media. Is Greg Rosenthal hating on Baker Mayfield? I absolutely think you can put that in perspective. Absolutely hating on Baker Mayfield, saying, let's go ahead and go out to these comments, and then we'll get out to Louie from the Frozen Pirate podcast. That the Buccaneers had a slightly better quarterback, I think they'd be in the inner circle of Super Bowl contenders. He also goes on to say, because he doubles down, he had a chance to not put his foot in his mouth, right? He had stuff coming out of his mouth, and it wasn't spit. Yeah, he says, it's not hate. He's great. I think he would be in the inner circle of Super Bowl favorites if, like, Justin Herbert was their quarterback. Herbert has done absolutely nothing ever since he's gotten into the league besides choke in the first round of the playoffs, look terrible, throw interceptions, get bailed out by his team, and get paid. That's the only thing Herbert's been able to do. So without further ado, let's go out to my guy right here, Mr. Louie from the Frozen Pirate Podcast. Got yourself a gun? I know he likes the Sopranos, so I'm going to go ahead and get it to him.
What do you hear? What do you say?
What do you hear and what do you say? Newest co-host here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. What's going on? Louie from the Frozen Pirate Podcast. Welcome to the Evolution.
What's going on? What's going on, everybody out there? Hope everybody's having a good night so far. Good week. It's a happy Wednesday.
Yes. Happy
we have a
hump day.
loaded. We have a loaded show and a lot of stuff to talk about today. A lot of stuff to talk about, especially with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Turnbuckle talk. You guys got to stay tuned for that at 10 o'clock because there's a lot to unpack over there. You got Lightning, the Rays. Like there's so much going on. It's a good time to be a Tampa Bay sports fan. I'll say that.
It really is. We talked about the Rays. They fall to the Pirates today. But just, real quick, give me your initial thoughts so far, what you've seen. I know you're up there in Massachusetts, but you've been doing research. I talk about the people being taskmasters, trying to force me to do over 2-hour sports talk shows here, almost 3 hours with Turnbuckle Talk. I've been kind of telling you the same thing. I want you to do research on this, not just the Bucs there, Louie, but give me your initial thoughts on the Rays.
I like what they're doing right now. There's a lot of energy with that team. As an outsider, I got to watch a little bit of the game yesterday. I ended up falling asleep early, but look, and today, obviously they took the loss, but I mean, they're coming out swinging. They look good. It's still early on in the season, but I want to say to the fans, continue to come out, continue to support the team, and continue to bring the passion for the team, man, because this may not sound popular to a lot of people, and a lot of people like, what does he know? He's in Massachusetts. But I think there could be something special with the Rays this year. I'm just going to leave it at that. There could be something special with the Rays.
Yes. Yes. And I got a text message from my co-host there, Mr. Harry the Greek. He goes, my name is always should be in lights because I didn't put him in the intro. He's always welcome. I forgot to put his name in the intro. Nobody lets the Greek sit in the corner. So Greek, come on in here. Stop being that girl from Dirty Dancing. All right, stop doing that. It's funny. I love you, Greek. So let's talk about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers here, and let's start off with the hate because it's always national media when it comes to hating on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This team's only going to have 2 or 3 wins. Jason Licht shows up and has receipts. And now you got Greg Rosenthal. I don't know if you saw this. I sent it to you.
Oh, yeah, I read it.
The NFL Daily Podcast should be weekly or monthly if he feels like this. If the Buccaneers had a slightly better quarterback, I think they'd be in the inner circle of Super Bowl contenders. It's not hate. It is hate. Listen, when you say it's not hate, like it's somebody saying, I'm just being honest. No, you're not being honest. You're lying to me. Don't lie to me. Quit saying you're trying to be honest. You're not being honest at all. Stop saying that. I hate that.
Yeah.
Or you say something I feel like it goes back to Talladega Nights. You're really great, but it really doesn't matter. I can't think of that line, but it's always the buts. But he goes, it's not hate. He's great. They would be in the inner circle of Super Bowl favorites if like Justin Herbert was their quarterback. I mean, your thoughts on this whole situation? Look at this. I got Cole, CSB brother right here. Nobody puts Greek in the corner. Listen to this nonsense. Nobody put Greek in the corner. Oh my gosh. Look at what you did here, Greek. You are the stirrer of the poo-poo soup. That is for sure. Radium Stadium looked like they had a lot more than 10K. Looked like they did. Tim says, good evening, Peter. Good evening to you.
Oh, yeah.
Let me see here. Here's what I say about the national media. Blah, 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 blah. I like that. And Sean says, we replaced JTS, which is a huge step in the right direction, of course, with Hassan Reddick, Dave Anglin. The Bucs have a top 5 quarterback right now. Baker was in the top 5 all year long. The guy is out of his mind. And listen, check this out. Because if you guys think we're being homers, because listen, Louie, I've been accused of being a homer so many times on the show, and I could give a damn because I'm from here. I've been here all my life. I'm Florida man. I've been a Bucs fan since 8 years old, but I cover them, and I tell it like it is. Check out the numbers. 41 touchdowns, 4,500 passing yards, over 4,500 passing yards. Also, including that, 71% completion percentage. The only quarterbacks in NFL history, not the last 10 years, not the last 15 or 20 years, in NFL history, 2024 Baker Mayfield, 2024 Joe Burrow, 2020 Aaron Rodgers, by the way, I believe he was MVP that year with the Bucs eliminating him in the NFC Championship game, just saying. Yep. And then 2011.
Brady should have won the MVP that year.
I agree. And then 2011 Drew Brees. Talk about this.
I mean, sometimes you just got to stay quiet and let people put their foot in their mouths. You took the words right out of my mouth. The guy threw for 4,500 passing yards, 41 touchdowns with both of his starting wide receivers, one of them gone for the season. The other one went down for 3 weeks. Yes. Depending on a rookie running back, a new offensive coordinator, a line that people say is not very good, and a rookie running back.
Mm-hmm.
Let me ask them a question. Does Lamar Jackson get that same hate? Because when was the last time Lamar Jackson won a Super Bowl? What about Josh Allen?
Right. By the way, Josh Allen, 0 for 4 versus Patrick Mahomes. Yeah. Oh, and I think Tom Brady would have something to say about this.
That's good enough to suck right there.
There you go.
Yeah. I mean, look, at the end of the day, the media, and I don't want to call it the media, but unfortunately, there are some people that there's no love for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. There never will be love for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I don't understand why. And we see it all the time. Peter, we're used to this. Levante David, a first ballot Hall of Famer. Nobody talks about him. And he's got, if not better stats than Bobby Wagner. They might be neck to neck, but Bobby Wagner gets all the light and all the respect and all that stuff. Mike Evans just recently got talked about because Tom Brady was here. A lot of these guys got talked about because of Brady. It's a smaller market. I understand that, but the stats don't lie. So when I read nonsense like that, yeah, I chuckle a little bit because I think it's funny because clearly these guys are not doing their research. I mean, if you were to start a franchise right now and Baker Mayfield is on the board, you're taking him. This guy came to Tampa Bay. Mind you, they don't talk about this. This is a guy who came here to Tampa Bay on a 1 year prove-it deal, $5 million. Everybody thought Kyle Trask, including myself, was going to be the starter. I mean, he sat behind Brady for all those years. You would think he would be ready, and he was going to have to compete. He not only competed, he took that job with a first-time offensive coordinator in Dave Canales. They never take that under consideration. And this guy, how many offensive coordinators has he had throughout his career? It's just sometimes
8 coordinators, yeah. 8.
Yeah, sometimes I'm going to say this to everybody out there who doubts Baker Mayfield. I've said this last year and the year before. The day I seen him stiff arm the dude from the Vikings, I forgot his name, and he said, "Get your weight up, little boy."
Yeah,
I said, I ride with 6. That's my quarterback. And it was not an easy task to take over for Tom Brady, considering this. Some people would say the Stone Ages. Other people would say the Buccaneers are done. And look what they did. To sit here and doubt Baker Mayfield, come on, man. Sometimes you just got to stay quiet. And unfortunately today, Peter, common sense isn't so common.
It is not common, but what is common is phone calls on this show. Please don't be like crickets tonight. Don't do that to me. Where's my crickets at? Where is that at? There it is. Don't do that. Oh, my phone line.
I love the phone calls.
I love the phone calls too. We love to take phone calls about your Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and we will do an hour and more if you guys want to call up and talk about what happened with your Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the owners' meetings. Lots of things to get into, not just the Baker comments, but Bulls and Light. Kind of giving some things away here. It's kind of exciting because you get the foreshadowing, right? We talk wrestling on Turnbuckle Talk. We always talk about foreshadowing, kind of foreshadowing of things to come, maybe, or maybe it's a little bit of a smoke screen. Open phone line 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Hello from Key West. Hello to you. Let's go out to Sean here. And McMillan is with Randy Moss, is the only rookie to have 50 yards and a touchdown in 5 consecutive games. Our offense is one of the best, not years, because McMillan, that was his first year last year, which led to none other than Baker Mayfield. Absolutely. You're correct about that. And you're exactly right. You lose Evans for a time. You lose Godwin for the majority of the year. You have McMillan. You have Sterling Shepard. And who else? Who else did you have there? Did you have you? Did you have Harry? Did you have Ray Kennedy? Did you have?
I mean,
who were these guys? Who were they besides Jalen McMillan and Sterling Shepard? Who else?
Trey Palmer was in La La Land half of the time. I mean,
he's always in La La Land.
A rookie in Baker, a rookie running back in Bucky Irvin. Shout out to him. That kid. He's gonna feast. He's gonna feast this year. But Bucky Irvin and Baker Mayfield stepped up to the plate this year. So I don't know many quarterbacks that would have done. Never mind what he did. He threw for 40. Think, guys out there, call in if you think I'm wrong. What other quarterback do you know that can throw for 4,500 passing yards and 41 touchdowns?
Yes.
With one of their starting wide receivers gone and one of their receivers out for 3 weeks. And not just any receiver. The man, the myth, the legend, which is Mike Evans.
Right, exactly. Let's see here. So let me go out to Dave. They don't give Mike the respect either, along with Chris Godwin, top 5 wide receiver duo of NFL, but no love. Yeah, no love, Dave, because they go about their business in a professional manner. And that's why I continue to tell Bucs fans, enjoy this while you have it, because you don't know when it's gone. I feel like, I'm singing a song here or something from the
saying that. I keep saying that about Levante David.
I don't know what you got until it's gone. Yes.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. Miss Jet Sky right there. There he is, the host. Appreciate you tuning in as always. Mr. Rob Thompson of the crew right there. Crew Life, trust nobody, nothing you hear until the pick is in. Absolutely. The rumors are rampant. As always, we know, whatever you hear, but it certainly seems like one of those positions, Jamel Dean, Jason Light was talking him up, saying he's been hurt. He's been a better player. Then again, you have Todd Bowles saying there's competition. Hurry up. AEW's on. Listen, boss, if you want to watch
company,
F you,
yeah.
F you,
yes.
F you, and F you. Peace out. I'm going to go have a Guinness.
Thank you, JP, because honestly, I feel like AEW will be peace out here pretty soon if they keep it up with some of their shenanigans, lying about their views there on Max or on April Fools, whatever. I don't care anymore. Not only did he trucked Bobby Wagner. Yes, Sean, absolutely. Remember that? How he trucked Bobby. That's what you love about Baker Mayfield. Like, you can look inside the numbers. Okay, cool. But he's a direct reflection of that locker room. And that locker room respects him. The players play for him. And then on top of it, he's gritty. He's gutty. We've heard all throughout his career. He's willing to do whatever it takes when it comes to 3rd and 4th down to put his shoulder down. I mean, what about the play against the San Francisco 49ers where he's holding off Nick Bosa and he's able to complete that pass? Who is that true? Is that to
Rashad White?
Rashad
White. That kept the play alive. That was actually a game that I was upset with Todd Bowles when I said, you have the momentum. So to me, guys, real quickly, football is won in the trenches. You can kind of tell who's basically taking this game. Usually when you see the line moving, if you see the offensive line getting that push on the defense or vice versa, we've seen it in the Super Bowl. It's very easy. You can tell who's going to win a game. Just pay attention to the line. Look what the Eagles did with rushing 4 guys. They had the better line than the Chiefs. The Chiefs couldn't do anything. You can go back to the 2021 Super Bowl with the Buccaneers and Chiefs. What happened there? It was the Buccaneers defensive line outpowering that Chiefs offensive line. You know? So again, I mean, I actually have a cool when we get to Todd Bowles, I actually have some cool statistics for you anti-bowlers out there.
Really quick, I saw this. Dave says, did Mike restructure his contract again? Mike Evans, did he restructure his contract again? Do we got some breaking news here?
He restructured his contract. I believe a couple more Buccaneer players restructured their contracts. I think I think something big's about to happen with the Buccaneers. They restructured a few contracts.
He did. And here we go. And I didn't get this news right away, but Evans agreed Wednesday to restructure his contract, converting a part of his base salary into a bonus, according to Aaron Wilson. Yes. So there you go. So he restructures that. And then because I didn't see this. I don't know how.
It just came in. I just saw it recently too.
Right. Okay. So they restructure, clear cap space, but how much cap space did they clear?
Let me check over the cap?
Let's see here. Restructure. It doesn't say. It doesn't say right now. Maybe I'm missing it. I'm not.
It will probably be up maybe tomorrow.
Okay.
I want to say because usually.
Listen, with that also, that could be to pay the other guys. But remember, they did restructure Tristan Wirfs, so we'll see how those cap figures work out. I don't know. Maybe they are going to do something big. I don't,
because I know they cleared up a lot of cap space. I think total, I want to say in the high 20s, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
I'm trying to see it right now. Over the cap is usually pretty good with this stuff.
All right, let's go out to Trevor Miller here from, I believe, North Carolina. The only time they get respect is when they were pending free agents. Agree with that. Good stuff there, Trevor, as always.
Oh, yeah.
What else do I have here? I know I have some other things besides that. Oh, yeah, we can do this one.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah.
Did Mike restructure his contract again? He did. Thank you, Dave, for that. And once again, Mike being a team guy, and this is the reason why, in my opinion, he's first ballot Hall of Famer. He's also first ballot Ring of Honor participant and may go down, besides James Wilder, as the greatest Tampa Bay Buccaneer offensive player of all time. Just because of, and I said this, he could go down as the greatest Tampa Bay Buccaneer player of all time with, tying Jerry Rice, possibly surpassing Jerry Rice with his longevity, the kind of impact that he's made on this team. I love Derek Brooks. I love Leroy Selman, Warren Sapp. Great players. I mean, you go down the list. Rondé Barber's in that conversation. But maybe Mike Evans should also be in that conversation simply because of what he's been able to do throughout his career consistently, not even with a top-flight quarterback. And then on top of that, what he's done for the organization to make sure that this team continues to compete at a high level with, taking less or taking it up front and sacrificing. Go Bucks. Can't wait for the draft. She said, go Bucks. Go Bucks. Go Bucks.
How about them Bucks, baby?
Go Bucks. All right, there we go. By the way, did you see the new rule there where they can wear throwbacks 4 times a year? Louie, where do you lie on the creamsicle? Where do you lie on the pewter? Do you want to see the white uniform with the orange pants? Because I remember that. That's a real
that was
back there.
Yeah.
Do you think the Bucks will take advantage of this?
So this topic is right up my alley. So my co-host Jamie on Around the NFL, he tells me, he goes, I don't know why you spend so much time analyzing uniforms and stuff. And I tell him, I'm like, look, it's a big part of football. Feel good, you look good, you feel good, you play good.
Sure.
Oh, real quickly, I just got this in, not to get off topic. The Buccaneers have restructured the contracts of Mike Evans and Antoine Winfield Jr., so creating $15.8 million in cap space from the Antoine Winfield Jr. deal, and then 14, I think 5 from Mike's deal. So that's $30 million they just freed up for cap space.
Wow.
Yeah, that's huge. Something's brewing up. Something's brewing up. So, and maybe it could be tying into the draft, but we'll see. What I'm going to keep a close eye on that for the remainder of the show, because I feel like something's going to happen.
I can't believe I missed that today. I must be really busy working all the time.
Well, it was 1 hour ago. 1 hour ago.
That they just did that.
Yeah, with Winfield, 1 hour ago.
That's what happens, guys. You're preparing for a show. You're doing all your research. You're printing, all this stuff out. What it's wrestling, it's hockey, and it's baseball, and it's NCAA Women's Final Four, which is coming to the Bay Area, which I think a lot of people are excited about some of the matchups, especially South Carolina and UConn being a part of that. And you missed some things. So thanks a lot, guys, for always being on top of it. Once again, I'm just going to continue to sing the praises of the webheads here. 758,000 viewers on Facebook the last 90 days. Unbelievable.
That's awesome.
You could tell. Evans didn't clear cap. It was just a language thing. So it looks like he did restructure.
Yeah, because it could be wrong, but it's saying right here that Evans restructures contract, frees up additional cap space. That was 5 hours ago.
Okay. Well, it's 5 hours ago. I can't believe I missed that. Boy.
Yeah.
All right. Never mind. We'll go ahead and go out to what Todd Bowles had to say at the NFL.
You don't want to talk about the uniforms?
Oh, no. I'm sorry. Go ahead and talk about the uniforms. Yeah.
All right, this is right up my alley, Peter. how do I feel about the creamsicle uniforms? A lot of you out there who follow the Frozen Pirate podcast, I was actually really crucial about this. I was pumped when they brought them back, and then we lost to the Lions. And then I went on a massive rant on the next episode, a lot of F-bombs. So if there's the younger audience, earmuffs, or just don't listen at all.
Right.
I told my co-host, Jay, I said, I don't effing want to see those uniforms ever again. But then again,
Yes.
it's the heat of the moment. I love the creamsicle uniforms, but I don't want to see them more than twice a year. I really don't. I think it's just one of those uniforms that need to be played in a couple times a year, maybe one time. And if you're gonna go with the Bucko Bruce, the creamsicle, you have to bring back the white one, and you have to one time with the white, one time with the creamsicle. What I would like to see the Buccaneers do, because here's the thing, Peter, I don't like the Buccaneers playing on primetime games, but I think I can solve that because they've been very bad on primetime. I do not like primetime games. I have an idea. Anybody in the Buccaneers organization listening right now, because there is some rumors about, we can talk about this a little bit later on. They want to update the stadium and revamp the stadium, make some just kind of spruce up the place. I have some ideas for that too.
Renovate it. Yeah, they want to renovate it. Like Stu wants to renovate Tropicana, which should not happen, but the Bucks absolutely should renovate Raymond James if they love it. And it's been around since 1998.
Oh, yeah.
So about 30 years there.
Oh, yeah. So I got some ideas for that. And it starts with the uniforms. If the Buccaneers are going to be able to wear throwbacks and stuff like that, I really like the red color rush jersey. I didn't like the uniform style that they were wearing at the time because the scheme of it was very ugly, in my opinion. I liked the helmet, the big Buccaneer flag draped over the helmet. I really liked that. I didn't like the chrome face mask. I like the black. But here's my take. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, when they play on primetime, here's the way they're going to change their luck. The Buccaneers need an identity on primetime. When I think of pirates, I think of dark ships and pirates. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I want to see black uniforms with the same pewter pants, same pewter helmets. I just want to see black uniforms and maybe a different type of number scheme for those primetime games. And as far as the revamp goes for the stadium, here's my take. They need to do something about that pirate ship. I like the pirate ship, but it needs to go. I want to see a new pirate ship go in there. You want to reamp the stadium? Here's an idea. Bring in a new pirate ship, because the other one's kind of Disney. I understand it was like a Disney thing, but it's too Disney. Let's bring in a new pirate ship, almost like the Black Pearl, if you will. I think what that stadium needs, it needs somewhat of a roof a little bit, because it gets hot down there.
Right.
Maybe something.
It does.
Needs something. If you do that, let's not black out the stadium, but let's have an identity, a real identity. You want to talk about pirates? See that guy right there? I want to see maybe like some black seats in there. Let's black out the stadium. Let's put a nice, creepy, eerie pirate ship in there. Same concept. Let's just update the pirate ship. I'd like to see that. Something more fierce. Something not so Disney.
I don't think it's that Disney though. Do you?
It needs to be updated, man.
Let's throw this question out there, guys. The Bucks have talked about this. The Glazers talking about renovating Raymond James Stadium. Put it in the comment box there. Of course, Facebook stars are open. YouTube super chats are open. Or get on the phone line, 727-255-0391 at 727-255-0391. What would you like to see the Bucks renovate Raymond James Stadium? Is it the roof? Is it giving is it what was it called? The roof, not translucent, but
it's almost like an awning, kind of like what the Dolphins have, but it's not. There's a word for it. It's I do construction. And,
what about retractable? Is retractable too much? Would that be a too much?
I don't really know how the soil is out there. So
right.
If anybody in the comments works construction, let me know and we can figure this out, man. But like I said, I think a retractable, I don't know, that's a lot of work. That's a lot of steel going up. That's a lot of work, man. It can be done. It can be done. I'm curious to see how it would look. But in my opinion, they have to do something because I'm going down there this year. Bucks Patriots.
Listen, you come down here, you know that you're going to have to get on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television, of course, and the tailgate for What the Buck.
Absolutely.
We're out there.
Absolutely. Listen, I have no fear. Look, real quickly, went to go watch the Bucks and Patriots play. Tom Brady coming back to Foxborough, and I asked the wife where we should park, and she's like, "Oh yeah, go in that way." all Patriot fans. Here I am coming out of a Cadillac with my Mike Evans jersey, and I'm like, oh crap, it's all Patriot fans, not one Buck fan out here. Whatever. And then she was like, behave, and I put my Buccaneers flag over, and the girl comes up to me, she's like, you're wearing the wrong colors, and I'm like, well, I didn't know we were gangbanging. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I'm just a Buccaneers fan. Jeez, relax. Oh, that was Peter. That was a terrible time. Everybody thinks that Eagle fans are classless, and I'm not taking a shot at Patriot fans, but geez, when you guys by the second quarter drink a little too much, you get a little stupid.
Well, we got some Eagle fans that watched it, but we've also dealt with some bad Eagle fans also, but mostly the fans that are Eagle fans. Leo Haggerty is an Eagle fan. The Green Queen, Darlene Emanuel, she is an Eagle fan, but we're trying to turn her into a Bucks fan here if she's watching. That's what we do here. All right, let's see. They are either making a trade or working up a few free agent signings for depth. Christopher Cole said, I heard. Yep. Sean says a couple of vets on D. We are Super Bowl bound. Dave says old school white jersey with orange pants would be fire. I agree. Again, I had bad thoughts about the uniform and the Bucco Bruce at the time because they lost a lot. And, that's always the bad memories, right? Those are the bad memories at the end of the day. Those are, you carry those with you, but there's also some fond memories of them winning, having some games. They were having some moments. In those orange pants, they had some good starts to the season early, and then they went by the wayside. AWJ restructure did. Tim says, I agree about primetime games. I'm not sure about the black. I understand the attraction to black because I know it was a uniform out there. But the Atlanta Falcons have that. The Raiders have that.
Yeah,
but I
guess the Falcons can't do it like the Buccaneers. I'm telling you. Let me mock something up. I'll customize something for them. I don't know. Maybe they might use it. Honestly, I think primetime games at the Ray J. I think a black uniform for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with the pewter pants and the pewter hats. I think it would look really nice. I think
how many primetime games do you think they have this year? Over, under 3, 4, or they have less than that?
I say they have 2 primetime games. Actually, no, I'm lying. I think they're going to have – I think the Buccaneers are going to shock a lot of people. I think the Buccaneers are going to have – I want to say 3 or 4 primetime games. I really do because they were exciting to watch. And guys like Bucky Irvin, the league looks at that and they see that. And I honestly do. I think they'll have maybe 3 or 4 primetime games.
I agree with you on that. Let's go out to John Sullins here. Great show and content. Appreciate you for tuning in. Dave says the skull on the ship needs to be updated more like a current skull. There you go. We got Dave agreeing with you right there. Red and pewter seats. I like that. A lot of pewter there. John says, personally, I've always found the Bucs Stadium the most boring in the league. I wish they would find a better area in or around Tampa, purchase a state-of-the-art stadium. The loyal fans over there so many years, and the young, newer fans deserve this. I like it's right down the street for me, so maybe I'm being biased. I like driving by there with the Go Bucks red Tesla. Yep, I said it. I drive a Tesla. Please don't try to damage my Tesla. It won't be a good deal for you. Just putting it out there. I like driving by there.
Down on that stuff right now.
They are. They should be cracking down on it. It should be cracking down on anybody that's trying to destroy somebody's personal property. But that's neither here nor there.
People work hard, man. People work very hard for their stuff.
Yes, and driving by Steinbrenner Stadium with the Rays. I mean, I think it's fantastic. Raymond James has been a fantastic stadium. I know there's a lot of complaints by a lot of the fans that it's too hot. It is a home field advantage to a certain degree against the other team. I kind of don't like the fact that a lot of these teams, the Bears, they're having a new stadium. They're talking, possibly, I think they're talking about a dome and there's other teams. It takes away from the home field advantage. It takes away from the elements. I get it. The elements are tough, but how fun has it been to watch those games in Kansas City and Buffalo and see the snow and what it does? And I think when you take that away, and the same thing could be said. That's why I said retractable. I don't know how much it's going to cost for Raymond James Stadium, but they're
definitely up there. It would definitely be up there. Anybody who thinks that the dome is a good idea, I personally don't. Mind you, when I was growing up watching the Patriots, with my dad, my dad would have the Patriot games on and stuff like that. And watching those playoff games, the battle of Tom Brady and Peyton Manning, those two guys, those two battles that they had, you mean to tell me those games weren't exciting with the snow.
Mm.
You know, they do play a factor, but at the end of the day, the best team will always win. So I'm not a big fan of domes. You know, I just again, it's like think about this, guys. Imagine if the Packers switched to a dome. How
Mm.
stupid would that be? It's the same thing. And honestly,
It's
I do.
frozen tundra for a reason.
Yes,
It's
it's an
home
identity.
advantage. Yes. John
identity.
Frusciante, it's the frozen tundra. I mean, it's
Yeah.
NFL films. It's history. It's the reason why you want the home games. It's the reason why I don't know about Bucks, playing in the heat. But for the northern
I think
team,
to a certain degree, Peter, to a certain
Right.
degree, I'm on board with you with the retractable roof. I don't
Okay.
want to see the Ray J go. I really don't. I like the Ray J. But again,
Yeah.
I think that they should update the pirate ship. And honestly, I like those rainy games. It's kind of an identity, seeing Mike take off the gloves, going like it's like a homage to the past players. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And
Yeah.
just watching, yeah, it's sloppy, but who cares? It's football, man. It's not meant to be clean. It's football. That's it.
Thank you. It's
And
yes.
again,
Everything is not going to be clean and polished. It's football, guys. It's a home field advantage. All right. So again, the question is out there. What would you renovate with Raymond James Stadium? What do you think about the uniform situation 4 times a year? Do you want to see the creamsicle? Do you not? Do you want to see the all pewter uniforms? What do you want to see? Up a phone line 727-255-0391 at 727-255-0391. Let's go out to Jamie Branda. Go
Branda, that's my co-host. That's
there
my
you
co-host
go.
on
What's
Around the
going
NFL,
on,
buddy.
Jamie? How you doing? Welcome. We got to get him on the evolution of sports talk television. Always welcome, my friend. Bears fans are well. We'll have to do like a tag team here. We'll go, 4. We'll go me and Harry, who's also a Bears fan, and Louie and you. And you're a Bucks fan. I'm a Bucks fan. Harry is a Bears fan, and Jamie
Yeah,
is
we
a
should.
There we go.
We should. I'm going to talk to him this week about it.
Okay, sounds good. And that's a wrestling reference, guys. Get your head out of the damn toilet there. Hunting with the mist, says Christopher Cole. And Dave says, all my Panther fan friends love Ray J. Think it's got a lot of character, fun stadium because it has parking, isn't boring. I agree. Go watch a game at Bank of America Stadium. It is boring. That it is. It is boring. But again, Raymond James Stadium being one of the great stadiums around the league, players agree. That's why a lot of players like to play down here, not just because of the weather, because of the stadium. Believe it or not, they do.
When
All
they
right.
built it in 98, but when they built it in, what was it, 97? When they started breaking ground in 98, it was considered a state-of-the-art stadium at the time. I still think it is. Every time me and my family go down to Florida, we always go to the Ray J. We go there to, I go to the Buck shop. I've got to go in the field. I love it. It's just the only gripe I have with it is they need some updating a little bit. And listen, the Glazers, they've done a decent job with updating stadium boards and stuff and so on, like little minor things here and there. But I do think that they need some type of shade over there, like something, kind of like what Miami did with their stadium with the Hard Rock. But I agree with the last comment. Bank of America Stadium is boring. I remember when Bank of America Stadium was, what was it, Ericsson Stadium? Remember that? When the Carolina Panthers first started off? Wow. And they haven't done anything to that stadium. I hear you can go there and go watch a game for like what, $15?
Yeah. Well, they can now because it's awful with the ownership and everything. It seems like they're starting to turn it around. Let's go out to Ben Cornett from Las Vegas right there. I would do the throwback uniforms twice a year. Do one game with the creamsicle and the other game with the white jerseys. Doing the throwbacks more than 2 games could be overkill, and it kind of takes away from the mystique of it. I think everybody loves the throwback. It's nice. You bring the creamsicle bars. I love that. Being credentialed media last year, the last couple of years, and having the creamsicle being given to you, and this and that and the other thing, and playing the 70s music. It's cool. You don't have to do it 4 times. Do it a couple times, because if you do it more, then you take away from the mystique of it. Just my opinion.
That's why I say 2 times. One white one creamsicle one. Make sure when you pick those games that they're special games. Like I like the idea of the creamsicle with the Lions. I wouldn't mind seeing the white coming out and us playing the Bears. Or I mean, I don't know who else. See, when I think of when I think of those uniforms, I think of the black and blue division that we were in, the NFC Central.
Yes.
So it's only fitting to play teams like either I wouldn't mind seeing the white uniforms against the Packers, something like that. I don't know. I can't really see it against Atlanta. There's not really I guess you can say it's a little bit of a rivalry, but the teams in our division, they weren't really around for the creamsicle. That's why I say those creamsicle jerseys twice a year.
Yeah. All right. I agree with you on that. Let's go out. Let's see. We have lost every game that we have worn the creamsicle uniforms. Screw it. It says Reno right there. It's a good comment.
Oh, yeah.
Dave, alarm clock uniform throwback game, yes or no?
No.
Absolutely not.
That's great off the suck right there.
This is what I think about that suggestion. I think you're being funny. Yeah.
This guy sucks.
Yeah, no. Let's not do that ever.
That you just brought back traumatic experiences for me watching those games.
It was a terrible uniform. I do like the red, but I do remember the Thursday night game with ketchup and mustard versus the Rams there.
I feel bad for anybody who had like vision issues, because I remember when they did that with the Jets and the Bills, and they were both wearing red and green, and people who are colorblind were irate about that. I would too, man. Imagine that you're colorblind and you're watching a football game. Vinny
Testaverde. That was the excuse for him throwing all those interceptions back in the day. He was colorblind, so I wonder if he was one of the complainers at that point. Yes. Alarm clock, no, Dave. Stop being funny. We got Dave Moser right here. To me, too many crybabies moving to the Tampa Bay area, crying about our heat. It's too hot in the stadium. They don't know how it was an old Tampa stadium sitting in the old sombrero, as Chris Berman would say, sitting on those bench seats. They were absolutely awful. They were. I remember getting third-degree burns and leaving your skin behind. Great stuff.
I love that heat out there, believe it or not. When we go out there, I love that heat. That 70. See, the heat down there is a little bit different than the heat up here. So when it gets hot up here, it's like the humidity, like you can't breathe up here. It's like I don't want to be outside. I want to just stay inside. Or when you go in the pool, you're neck deep because it's hot. I like it, but I remember the old Foxborough Stadium before it was Gillette. Same thing, bench seats. You go out there to a game when it's cold out. Yeah, let's just say it's not fun.
No, it's definitely not fun. And I will say that for me, going out there, I do the post-game show with the great JP Peterson of the JP Peterson Show, which can be seen and heard Monday and Fridays from 10 a.m. to 12 noon. We go out there, do the post-game. I got to set up 30, 35 minutes. JP's got to get the sound from the players. And it could be trying. It could be tough. Not only have to deal with the elements of the rain, which I had to replace the laptop, which I'll never do again. If it's raining, guys, sorry, the show is canceled. We'll go somewhere else and do it, or we'll do it a little bit later because we ain't taking that chance again because, $2,000 later. Not necessarily good. Yeah, absolutely. So, the heat can be oppressive, if you will, and you're trying to set it up, in a timely manner. I need more crew out there. I need more guys out there to help me, set up the camera. But it can get hot, and you can worry about it because that's where you got to bring a fan for the laptop so it doesn't burn out. True story. It is. But I agree with you. There are some crybabies that have moved down from the north. Good evening, gentlemen, says Christopher O'Reilly.
Yes!
Absolutely. Let's go out to Tim Creamsicle once a year, okay?
Oh, yeah.
Let's go out to Realtor David Zuzman. We should have one creamsicle and more white uniform days when it's super hot to help the players stay cool. Good point. I think a lot of people get tired of the white uniforms, white and pewter, because they traditionally wear that all the time. They like to see more red, especially in November and December. The reason why the Bucks do that is because the players don't get hot. We have won a game in the throwback. It was against Green Bay with Josh Freeman at quarterback, and that was in 2009. Yes, it was.
Mike Williams caught the game-winning touchdown that game, correct?
Did he? I think it was Sammy Strotter, my friend.
Was it Strotter?
I think it was Sammy
I think
Strotter.
Mike Williams tied up the game with a toe tap in the back of the end zone. If I'm not, that's a long time ago.
Look it up. I believe it's Sammy Strotter. But listen, I'm getting older up there. So you might have me on that, but you're exactly right. 2009. Big Peter Blake and Louie tuning in from Qatar, by the way, at Tampa, Florida. Thank you very much for your service. As always, the Marine on this show.
Oh, yeah.
Hoorah, Devil Dog. That's what we say. Arena says Dave England, not the last couple of games. Laugh out loud. Correct about that. Let's go out to Todd Bowles. Hear what he had to say at the NFL annual league meeting, talking about this Tampa Bay Buccaneer team going into 2025. I feel good that we know how to win. I don't feel good about us finishing the season from a playoff aspect and in the middle of the season having a drought 2 years in a row. We got to play not even better football. We've got to play not even better football at the end, but we've got to have killer instinct. We got to try to blow people out, try to win a division instead of going down the last week. Your thoughts on Bowles here? Hire a play management coach here.
Yep.
Seems more aggressive, calling out. I love this side of Todd Bowles. Everybody says he's conservative. This guy is all about killer instinct. This is what I want my to say.
So I was listening to Todd Bowles' comments, and again, I'm a fan of Todd Bowles. I really do. Do I think he's on the hot seat a little bit this year? Could be. I think he really needs to blow away the Glazers this year, and that includes a home playoff game because that makes what? Money. Two, there was something different about this interview with Todd. Todd realizes that there's an issue. Has he been, and you've heard me on this show in the past weeks, yeah, sometimes he makes some mistakes. Hiring the game manager, I think that was his way of being mature because a lot of guys in that situation would not allow it because they have an ego problem. One guy was here for almost 30 years, Bill Belichick, not having it. And look where that ended. So he knows that there's an issue. Him addressing all these things and knowing that we need to have a killer instinct. And where does that start? Starts with the defense because the defense wasn't too good last year, unfortunately. I think there's a few elements that are missing to this defense. One thing that he did bring up in that interview was the lack of depth at the cornerback position. And I've been ranting and raving about Jahad Campbell. Honestly, Peter, I don't think that's going to happen. I've been doing my due diligence. I've been doing a little bit of research, and a big problem on this defense, I've seen it. The reason why a lot of people are complaining, like, well, Todd Bowles rushes a lot. He like, in all reality, statistically, I mean, I have it down right here. We are a team that blitzes heavy. Like we're one of the most. I mean, the rate that we blitz at in 2020 when he was the DC for this team, our blitz rate was 25.6. 2021, 40.8. Drastic. Now pay attention here. 2022, 26.9. 2023, 38.8. 2024, 38.9. Why do you think it's been up?
Well, because they don't have the horses up front to rush the passers. So you have to compensate that in some way by blitzes from other places. That
also, it's the lack of depth at the cornerback position because in 2021, the corners were banged up. 2023, 2024, same thing, especially 2024. These corners were banged up. So I think the Buccaneers are going to be drafting a corner/safety with the 19th pick. If not the 19th pick, with their first pick in the draft, I honestly do think there's a couple of guys that I think fits Todd Bowles' system that can absolutely be a plug and play. But I mean, he rushes and blitzes for everybody out there. I'll tell you right now, the anti-bowlers. The reason why he blitzes so many guys, it's not because the front seven are not good. He's disguising the weakness of the secondary. He's weak at the secondary position. But unfortunately, we can't get to the quarterback. It's a disguise. It's almost a disguise. And the corners, they can't hang on long enough. And it's tough to really get any pressure on the quarterback, like when you have inexperienced guys or when you have a lot of corners that are banged up in that secondary. The most important statistic in the NFL is availability. Jamel Dean wasn't available a lot this year. He was banged up. Zion McCullum was hung out to dry. He played with guys that were, practice squad guys, and the big problem too is Todd Bowles' scheme and system is not the easiest system to learn. And when you have guys like a Tyke Smith playing nickel and going back to safety, they're not getting comfortable, and the amount it's a lot to take in. But I think this year, do I think they go inside linebacker? I think they get an inside linebacker maybe later on in the draft because it's a must. It's a must. You have to. Because this defense is going to live and die by Levante David. I promise you that. Because at the end of the day, he's the greatest link, but at the same time, he's kind of our weakest link because he's the oldest guy on the team. He's a little bit slower. A
Right.
lot of these kids on the field. You take a look. You take a look at the NFL right now. These guys are fast, man. These wide receivers, they're fast. These running backs are quick. Even the tight ends are fast. Offensive linemen are faster. It's insane.
Yeah.
There's a couple of guys out there, that I really like. Trey Amos out of Ole Miss.
Okay.
He's a perfect fit for Todd Bowles. Xavier Watts from Notre Dame. He's a ball hawk. I think he had, I want to say 13 interceptions in 2 years. You guys go look it up. Go do the research.
What about Will Johnson from Michigan? What
I don't think Will Johnson will be there at 19. I don't. And if memory serves me right, I have a funny feeling that I think maybe the Buccaneers do want Will Johnson. Maybe not. But if he's not there, I think Todd Bowles and Jason Licht and company are going to trade back. I honestly do believe in this draft. I think Amos or Watts is definitely the guy that they're going to get. Malachi Starks, a lot of people are high on him too. Right. But I don't know. I think Amos is, to me, like I got some notes real quickly on Trey. He's 6'1", 195 pounds. He ran a 4.43. Can keep up with fast wide receivers. He can play all different types of schemes. Coverage. He can cover. He can play press, zone. He can adapt to a lot of situations. I mean, he played for LSU. He played for Alabama. He's physical, but the problem with him, he's a little stiff. He would have to work on that, his movement a little bit, especially with the run game. But I mean, 39 solo tackles, 13 pass breakups, 3 interceptions this year. So, and he's got a good frame, man. And pairing him up with Zion McCollum and Antoine Winfield Jr. and, Tyke Smith, the Bucs, as much as I love Jahad Campbell, it's starting to, as the draft's getting closer, and listening to Todd Bowles' comments, man, you heard it first.
I'm about to get to those comments right now. Jason Light says that the signing of Hassan Reddick won't prevent them from adding another edge rusher in the draft. People go, well, what is he supposed to say? Well, threw it out there, just saying. He also said this about Dean, which we covered on Monday, but we're going to go back through this because it's interesting. He says Jamel has had some injuries the last couple of years. He's a really good player. Not too long ago, he has high expectations for himself. We have high expectations for him. We feel good about Jamel. Now, this is what Light said also to Ira Kaufman, of course, the sage of Tampa Bay in care of Joe Bucksman on the Ira Kaufman podcast, about the cornerback situation. It's pretty good draft there throughout the entire draft. We'll see how it falls to us, but we could use some help there, whether it's depth, whatever it is, we could use some help there. Asked about Jamel Dean again. So Jamel has had some injuries the last couple of years. We talked about that. All right. So again, they have high expectations. Could they be talking him up for trade? Like you said, I don't believe that. I think that's a bad situation, because if you just go and you draft somebody and you put a rookie in there right away and that Super Bowl window is open, then you kind of hurt yourself. You don't want to go back to Josh Hayes because, again, you were talking about it. You lost Jamel Dean. You lost Zion for a couple of games. You were down to your quarterback depth there, and you had to play again Hayes and some other player, the kid Thunderbird.
He didn't have the right personnel. It would have worked, Peter, but unfortunately, he didn't have the right personnel at the inside linebacker position. I think Savasio Dennis going down really hurt this team, because at the end of the day, I think the most important part of the defense is your front four and your inside linebacker. It is, because the inside linebacker, a guy like Levante David, is reading the offense. You see him. He's pushing guys. He's calling things out on defense, man. He's the general. He's I was gonna use a Gunther thing, the ring general. But he's the field general, dude. He is. And I'm going to stick to my guns. This defense is going to live and die by Levante David this year, but they need to get him help. But it's sad, because it's like they're in desperate need of a corner. It is. They do.
We're getting ready to get Leo on here with the guys to talk some NCAA Women's Final Four, which is coming to the Bay Area there. Let's read what the Marine has to say. I'm a big fan of the throwback games. Always adds a special feeling and element to the game. Absolutely. Dave, I agree with you, Louie. We were taking a cornerback in the first round. We'll see. Marine says, I really like the edge rusher, Oladipo out of UCLA. We've heard about
a lot of people like him, yeah.
Linebacker in the second or third round for sure. Tim says best available player. Hopefully it's a defensive player. 2 giant goop balls who has his own quarterback situation. We got to get him on here and talk about what they're going to do in the draft. Is it Shedeur Sanders? Is it Ward? Do you think Tennessee would pass off? Is it the 3 W's? Could it be Ward, Winston, and Russell Wilson there? That would be interesting, but I think it's Shedeur Sanders. I heard a rumor that Peter was going to play smash or pass, and that's an erroneous rumor. We're not playing anything like that at all. Nothing at all. We ain't doing that. Let's go out to Sean here. Plug and play, like he said. He needed to do that with what he had no help from the few plays, like JTS, KJ Brett, and all inexperienced players filling in for huge key players like AWJ. When he went down, Bulls did really well for what little he had with all the unavailable players. That's why I say a Bucks fan should give him grace. Well, he's playing this and he's playing that, and it's like he has no choice. There's no choice. He doesn't have the horses up front to run.
How many do you honestly think? I hate having this conversation. I really do.
Sure.
I don't know many coaches out there that would still make the playoffs with what happened with the Bucks. And I get it. There was injuries and stuff like that.
Maybe Mike Tomlin. I think Mike Tomlin. Because Mike Tomlin gets the most out of his players.
Yeah.
And he's
absolutely
criticized. We've got Ralph Williams, who usually does Turnbuckle Talk, will not join us tonight. That's okay. We got you covered for Turnbuckle Talk at 10 o'clock or earlier, depending on what's going to happen, how long the hockey segment goes. May go long. We may get some callers. Been no callers tonight, but that's okay.
What are you guys waiting for? Call the show. If you want to argue with me about stats, let's do it.
Yeah, definitely. It's open phone line 727-255-0391 at 727-255-0391. He's very critical of Mike Tomlin because he hasn't won a Super Bowl. You can't win a Super Bowl every year, but you're in contention and you get the most out of your players, even with the quarterback situation that you had. Speaking of quarterback situations, neither trade down, get picks, get a mid-round pick like Dylan Gabriel or Quinn Ewers. Don't trust Carter's injuries, and Hunter is overrated. I'm not ready to say Travis Hunter is overrated.
I don't think so.
I don't know about that. Let's go out to my buddy there. Oh, Canada. That's our intro for him. Hey, Peter Louie, what's up, boys? What's going on, buddy? How you doing? My buddy there, keep on fighting the big C.
I found those patches for him. He gave me his email. I found those captain patches for him.
Good.
So I'm going to be in touch with him.
Let's bring a smile to his face. Is it Vita Vea type player in the draft Bucks can grab? I know that there are a lot of people have been talking about the kid from Florida who's huge, but
464 pounds of raw power.
Yeah, I just don't
in the Florida Heat.
Yeah,
well, I know he plays for the Gators, but right. I mean, in that Todd Bowles system, I mean, I would love to see it. I mean, if he's still there at 5 or 6. Yeah, I'd take him. I would like to see him in a Bucks uniform. I actually, she probably won't call in, but I just, right before I came on the show, I just showed my girlfriend this. I said, hey, check him out. I said, I wouldn't mind seeing him on the Buccaneers with Vita Vea. That's a lot of meat up front.
Yeah, absolutely it is. Would you want the Bucks to trade down with the Giants to pick a 3? That would cost a lot. It would be prohibitive cost that I don't think Jason Light would pay. Interesting. His comment just got a 15% tariff added to it. Come on now. Stop with that nonsense. No political talk on this show. Hunter is the best player in the draft. He very well may be. Hunter's too small to be a top flight wide receiver. In my opinion, will be good, but not worth a pick 3. I don't know.
I agree with that.
I think you can do it all. And I think it's a good problem to have. You're going to have to figure it out. And the team's going to have to be patient because this man wants to play both positions. So how do you do that? Well, it will be interesting to see how that all works out during the season, playing wide receiver and defensive back or one position. Because I feel like the guy wants to play more than one position. No, on the 400-pound kid, I'm a Gators fan. He's not going to last long in the NFL. We're waiting for Leo Haggerty here. We'll do a basketball segment. So guys in the back, stand by. We're waiting for the legend to come on. But once we have him come on, we'll shift gears here. But let's hear what Todd Bowles had to say when it comes to Jamel Dean. Everybody's position is up for grabs. Everybody's position is up for grabs. I think Zion McCollum probably 1A, 1B because Zion stayed healthier last season. Dean's got to get healthy. He comes in, plays. He can't play half a year every couple of years. He understands he's got to get healthy. He's doing everything he can to be healthy, but we got to have some depth there just in case. And if somebody comes in and competes with him, he's going to have to compete. So with that being said, we'll save that as a tease for Bucks fans out there. Let's go out to the legend himself, Mr. Leo Haggerty, former Coach Scout and now media member of Night Sports Productions and Amped Up Sports.
Book him, Dano.
Book him, Dano, right there. Amped Up Sports, of course, covering the women's Final Four. Welcome to the Evolution, man, on the Happy Hump Day.
Well, you know what, Peter? I just got done with the Thunder Alley guys, Thunder Row. I'm sorry.
Yes, we the Thunder. We got them coming on at 9:30.
They're all excited that we're going to be talking hockey at 9:30, but we got to be talking women's basketball now. Louie, how you doing, real quick?
Living the dream, one nightmare at a time. But you know what? Nightmares are dreams too.
Absolutely.
There you go. Good stuff. All right, so you want to introduce our panel here, my friend?
Yeah, we should have both DiBiase's in. We got the terrific duo with Gabriel DiBiase and Angelo DiBiase, who handles women's basketball for us. Now, we had their dad, Larry DiBiase. He's watching tonight, so don't bring him on, Peter. But
all right. I won't bring the $1 Million Man on, but I call
him $1 Million Man on. He's coming on next Wednesday when we tie up the men's tournament.
All right, so guys, stand by. We're going to talk some NCAA women's basketball here, give you some information, then we'll get back to Bucks here. Let's go out to Angelo. Angelo, welcome to the Evolution.
Hey, man, I'm just so excited to be here, guys. Thanks for having me on. And, yeah, Leo, just so great to see you, man.
Hey, great to see you.
And these guys are twins, right? Look at this.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, look at this guy. Hey, welcome to the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. Look at this. This is cool.
Man, happy to be here as well with you guys. Looking forward to it.
Absolutely. Very cool stuff. All right, Leo, you want to start it out?
Absolutely. You know what, guys? This is a very interesting tournament because you've got a couple with South Carolina and Connecticut. Oh, we're back in again. So what? But you got Texas and UCLA who haven't been there. Their first trip. Guys, and again, we'll go alphabetically. Angelo, we'll start with you and go to Gabriel. Is it an advantage or a disadvantage for being there or just being there for the first time?
You know, Leo, I think you could say either. I can promise you that Vic Schaefer and his girls won't be scared at all. I can promise you that that hasn't been there. You could argue, I think, with your question that there's more pressure on UConn and South Carolina because they've been there so much. South Carolina's supposed to win, you would think, and so I think it could actually be seen as a disadvantage for them, but with more pressure on them.
Gabriel, your thoughts?
Completely agree with Angelo's last comment. I think all the pressure is on UConn and South Carolina. I mean, I think this is Texas's first trip to the Final Four in 20 years. I don't recall when's the last time UCLA's been there. So I think they're going to treat it like fun and games, and I think they'll both be pretty loose. And I think that the heavyweights will have all the pressure on them.
You know what, guys? I agree wholeheartedly because everybody expects a Connecticut-South Carolina final. And if it doesn't occur, then people are going to say, what happened? So, yeah, that's it. Guys, I got to throw this one out to you. If Juju Watkins plays, not could they have beaten Connecticut, would they have beaten Connecticut? Again, Angelo, you.
That's really hard to argue, man. I know that you know, my dad used to always say that, and when he coached, you know, you take away the best player, you cut the head off the snake, and the snake really can't move, right? And so I think that, you know, Gino would have done everything he could to make sure that she didn't beat him. But you know, I mean, UCLA beat them at full strength 2 weeks ago, and when they had Juju, and it really was a 5-point game going into the fourth quarter, and so the other night without Juju, so. You know, they didn't defend well and get stops in the fourth quarter. I think UConn had 27 in the fourth quarter. So it's hard to say. I mean, it certainly would have helped if she'd have been there, but I'm not saying she wouldn't have.
Gabriel?
Yeah, I echo a little bit of that. I think I think Juju's a phenomenal player, and it was a tragedy that she went down. But I think Becker's is playing at an all-world level right now. I mean, the games she's had so far in the tournament, I'm not so sure she wouldn't have gotten the best of Juju if Juju was healthy. So I think Beckers is become that dominant player that we all knew that she was, and finally living up to her legacy.
With all these matchups at this point, it seems like this is the cream of the crop. But would you say that everybody wants to see South Carolina lose because they have been so good, especially when it comes to the pain here, Angelo?
Yeah, I think so. And it's hard to beat somebody 3 times in a season, right? In any sport. This will be the 4th time that they've played Texas, right? They've beaten them twice. But yeah, I think people are certainly pulling for anybody but South Carolina, really, since they've won so much recently.
Gabriel?
Yeah, it kind of becomes like an Alabama type football situation when they've won so much and went to so many, college football playoffs. I think people are ready for some new blood, and I think Vic Schaefer is one of the good dudes in the profession. I think a lot of people would be very happy to see him win it.
Hey, Louie, we're sitting there and you're just kind of watching away. You got any thoughts on this? And you know what, guys? I'm going to throw this out before, Peter, your viewers go crazy. You're not seeing 2 of the same guys. Angelo and Gabriel are twins.
Yes.
We're not giving you an AI of one of the other.
No.
They're there. And you know what? I was so happy to hear their answer because, these 2 guys went to Clemson. And to even say something nice about a Gamecock has to be very difficult, right, Angelo, Gabriel?
Yeah. It's been very difficult. Look, those who don't know, we live here in Columbia, and so right down the road from the campus at USC. And so, but what Dawn has done here is, it's absolutely incredible. She's got full Wiley and Edwards that sit on the bench that would start for anybody. So the program that she's built it's truly been incredible.
Do you guys think she gets enough credit as a coach, Gabriel?
Probably not now. That's a great question. It probably becomes like when you talk about the legends of the men's game, like Krzyzewski and Roy Williams and these people that went to Tom Izzo, they've gone to so many Final Fours that people just kind of take it for granted. So probably not, to answer your question now.
What about it, Angela? Does she get enough credit?
Yeah, I think the university reward or paying her like she does, right? They've certainly she's making some big cash, and she deserves it. Like I said, they went from nowhere to she's in the top seed every year. But yeah, like you said, the recruited the way she's done, she's getting all the kids that Gino used to get first, and so I think she's expected to get there with the talent she has with the 5-star sitting on the bench. So. Not sure if she's getting what she deserves.
You know what, guys? I'm going to throw this out at you.
Mm-hmm.
I think these 2 games are going to be more exciting than the 2 men's games. Agree?
I was just about to ask that.
Go ahead, Louie.
Well, here's the thing. I don't like talking too much about stuff I'm not really too informed of, like the women and stuff like that.
All the time, Louie. Don't worry about that.
You shut up, Leo. Be quiet.
Oh man.
I learned from you, Leo. I learned from you. Go ahead, Leo.
If you can't knock them out with knowledge, baffle them with BS.
That's it.
There you go. Fake it till you make it.
Yes, sir. Go ahead, Leo. God, Leo, Louie, and Leo. Here we go.
Got him. But
Yes.
no, we're starting to see a lot more of the women from college transition to the WNBA. You're starting to see a little bit more star power there. Honestly, sometimes I do catch some of those WNBA games. I actually enjoy watching some of those WNBA games over the actual NBA games. They seem a little bit more competitive outside of LeBron flopping, but that's a whole nother episode. I'm asking you guys, what's more exciting, the men's college tournament or the women's college tournament?
Good question.
That's a great question. For the men's side, obviously we haven't seen 1 seeds in a Final Four since 08 or something. So
yeah.
So to have all 4 come through and each 1 seed win their side of the regional is we got a text the other day from a buddy that said something, and I'm not taking credit for it. He did. He said, with all this NIL and stuff and all the crazy stuff that's going on, like this Final Four from the men's side is going to be ridiculous. And I agree with that. I really do. But same thing with the women's side. Yeah, I think we've got 3 number 1 seeds. Is that right? And crazy that UConn is the highest seed of the 4. But I think both equally is going to be really good. And the women's game has gotten so much better. The product has gotten so much better.
It's more. I
Well,
feel like it's starting to become more competitive than the men's almost in some
Yeah.
aspects. I mean, you're starting to see it in the WNBA. I mean, it's starting to become this rivalry starting to build up. It's more physical. I believe it's more physical than the men almost. So
You know what, guys? I'm going to throw this one out at everybody because this is scary. I don't know if anybody saw this, but the girl from Notre Dame, who was supposedly going to be either the number 1 or 2 pick in the WNBA, went in the portal.
Mhm.
She's thinking she can make more money in college than she could with the WNBA next year. And you know what? She may be right. Rick Moore, one of our guys, Peter, you know Rick, he handles Arizona and San Francisco for us in
Yes.
the NFL.
yes.
He sent me an article that one of the University of Arizona players, he's expecting to get $2 to $2.5 million to transfer in the portal. This is getting out of hand. And it's not because I don't blame the players. All the daggone NCAA has to do is say, you get 1 free move.
Yeah.
If your coach leaves, you get a 2nd free move. But after that, if you move, you got to sit a year, like the old transfer rule. And the fact that some lawyer has told the NCAA, well, you do that, I'll take you to court. If I was the NCAA, you know what I'd say? Bring it on, baby. I got more money than God. So the fact that the NCAA caves for this is just beyond belief, because what they're doing, and again, Angelo and Gabriel, I want to throw this out at you. What's basically happening is the bigger schools, they're not going after freshmen. They're going after mid-majors, juniors, and seniors that are having great years, and they're just bringing them in because they don't have to rebuild. Then they reload. Angelo, what do you think?
Yep, I do. And you know who this really, really hurts is the good high school player.
Yes.
Because those kids are getting left behind now because all these and we can talk basketball or football when we say this. All these college programs are going to go get established kids who've been in a weight program, nutrition program, that have already competed at that level, and they're going to get all those types of kids they can first before they finally go get the high school kid. And that's who I've really been hurt by, seeing the pretty good high school player is pretty affected by it.
I must. Yep. Go ahead, Gabriel.
Yeah, I was just going to add a couple of things. I think I read a stat today or heard a stat on the radio today. I think Auburn in the men, I think their starting 5 average age is around 23 and a half to 24 years old. So that's, I mean, if that's not telling, I don't know what is. Back to the Olivia Miles Notre Dame situation, I think I think the starting salary in the WNBA is about $78,000, and so you know, as the kids would say these days, I'm kind of aging myself here, but, you know, she's going to get her bag, and I don't blame her because somebody's going to pay her much more than $78,000. And also, and I think I'm right in saying, and flipping back to the men now, I saw where a coach has been on record saying if you're going to get a starter right now, especially in the SEC, if you're going to have a starter, he's going to cost about 7 figures. So it's a joke that it's come to this, but it's reality.
Well, it is the reality, and the reality is the situation. It's much to do about nothing. It's like baseball. They always talk about, you know, inflation and how the salaries are going up, but who's paying those salaries? The MLB owners. They're paying those salaries. That's the reason why if somebody's willing to pay it, then the salaries are going to continue to go up. Just don't complain about it. With that being said,
I'm not a fan of what's going on, though, at all.
Yeah.
I think this portal situation, I agree with Leo. I think you get one chance to transfer, and that's it. It's becoming ridiculous, and it's hurting these programs. It's hurting the team. I don't like it. And we see it in college football too. You know, I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna go there. I'm gonna go. It's enough is enough, man. I remember back in the day when these guys were going to college, you'd get yourself an education, you enter the draft. You know, you stuck with one school. Now it's, you know, it's like almost like they're building these super teams, and these kids are getting paid crazy amounts of money. I mean, I'm not a fan of the portal transfer there. I mean, I think you should be allowed to transfer one time, and that's it. And it's got to be for a damn good reason.
It's become play for play, hasn't it, Louie?
Yeah, it just I don't like it. I mean, I'm only 37 years old, but I'm very old school, man, and there's too much of this going on. I mean, I'm not a fan of it. Even the way they're getting paid, I understand they have to be compensated, but nobody in college should be making millions upon millions of dollars. I don't know how true this is, but I heard something about Marvin Harrison Jr. If he would have stuck another year, I think he was going to make like $6 million or $8 million in college. That's absurd. It's insane.
How about the rumor coming out during the ReliaQuest Bowl, Peter? Remember about the Michigan, the kid that was going to LSU?
Yeah.
That was a quarterback. And then we found out that Barstool Sports, the guy who owns it, his girlfriend is from Michigan. Reportedly, this kid's gotten 10 mil to go be a Wolverine. I mean, wow. it's and I can't blame the kids because let's go back. And again, Angelo and Gabriel, I'm going to throw it back to you. Everybody talks about Dabo Swinney not dealing with the portal. What's so bad about bringing a kid in and coaching him up? Florida State brought in 20 kids, had a great season, then all of a sudden the next year all those mercenaries left. Clemson, just little old Clemson, as Dabo says, all they did was win the ACC. What's wrong with getting your kids and coaching them up?
Yeah, I think for him, the character part of it so much is when he sits in those living rooms and tells those moms and dads, I'm going to do everything I can to take care of your son and mold him into a man when he leaves here and do everything I can to help him. I think he wants to honor that, and he doesn't want anybody to leave. He doesn't want anybody to leave, and he's not going to tell a kid he's not good enough to play. And so I think that's really what he's done. It's just like, I've recruited you to come here, and I want you to be here for 4 years,
Gabriel.
Yeah, I can't really add much more than that. Say that he just trusted his process of evaluations, and I think he doesn't want a lot of the parents, as Angela said. If he realizes a kid is probably not good enough to cut it or play at that level, then that's on him. That's not on the kid. It's on him and his team of evaluating them. But he's not going to go into somebody else's home and take away that kid's spot after he promised his parents they could play at Clemson. It's just he's going to take the loss himself.
Listen, we know about the guard play and the coaching situation. We know that South Carolina and UConn have that success. They have that experience. So they have an advantage, in your opinion, over the other teams here in UCLA and Texas, Angelo.
You kind of cut out some. Do you think they have the advantage?
Yeah. Do you think they have it? Do you think those two teams that have the coaches there have the experience? They have the advantage over those two teams that have, it's their first their appearance there. They haven't been there as much as UConn and South Carolina. Do you think UConn and South Carolina have an advantage over those other teams?
Yeah, I think you could argue that, but I think I said earlier, I think you could also argue as they're at a disadvantage because all the pressure is on those two teams because I think people are expecting them to win.
Yeah.
Although that, I mean, gosh, UCLA is 34-2 on the year, and so like what a year they've had, but I think you could see it as a disadvantage because I think everybody thinks South Carolina's expected to win. Plus, I mean, this is Geno's 24th time there. I mean, it's crazy.
Gabriel.
Yeah, I think it's an advantage. I think, UConn's going to get everybody's best. They've gotten everybody's best for the last 20 years. South Carolina's gotten everybody's best for probably the last 5 or 6 years. So I think it's an advantage. I think they're used to playing big-time games and big-time atmospheres. I'm gonna give a little nod of the cap to them and think this is probably going to benefit them.
You know what, guys? I'm going to throw this one out to you. The last time this tournament came to Tampa, I don't think it's arguably the best 3 games we've seen. Mm-hmm. Baylor beats Oregon. Notre Dame beats Connecticut, both with 2 or 3 points. And then Baylor beats Notre Dame when the girl from Notre Dame misses a free throw at the end, and it was down. It was literally down and came out. But here's why I brought that up. Baylor beats Oregon. Baylor didn't make a 3-pointer, and that's when Ionescu was out at Oregon. Mm-hmm. They don't make a 3. I don't think they shot a 3. UCLA plays the same way. They're going to go inside to that big horse. Can you win without having a presence on the 3-point line? Angelo?
You got to make shots. You got to be able to make shots. Because, like I said, the game will be so physical in the paint, inside and stuff. And so you've got to be able to knock down contested shots, in my opinion.
Gabriel?
Yeah, I agree. I think as good of a player as Betts is, and they all Booker for Texas, they all have pretty solid post players. But guard play wins in the tournament. You have to have exceptional guard play, I think, to advance and win in the tournament.
You know what, Peter? I'm going to throw out one, but I'm going to start with you and Louie.
Yeah.
Last year, it was the Caitlin Clark show.
Mm.
How important was it for the NCAA women to not digress, but to progress and get that, the Juju Watkins, the Beckers, these kids coming up and showing that Caitlin Clark wasn't an aberration? Peter, you, then Louie, then we'll go to the boys.
I absolutely think it's so important. It's crucial to the game of women's basketball in general, and it's crucial to the WNBA. You've seen the impact that Caitlin Clark has been able to make on that league. With now they're able to get a TV contract to where everybody's getting paid, even though she's not necessarily treated the best. It's a physical game. It's great. It's to see superstars, especially in that moment when it's the Final Four. It's so important for the game of basketball, especially women's basketball. So I love it. I love the fact that you get a chance to see superstars from respective teams like South Carolina and, of course, UConn.
Louie?
Yeah, I mean, I have to agree with Peter. I mean, Caitlin was a crucial point in that. And, I really didn't pay too much to women's college or the WNBA. And she's watching, the stories blow up about her, and she's always in the media. It started to make me interested in women's basketball, and I started watching a little bit. I think it's very important. It's very important, especially for the younger talent, and to showcase that, because honestly, in all reality, I even with the NBA, I haven't been a big fan of the NBA in the recent years. It's just I'm not into it. But for some reason, when Caitlin came out and following her career now, and just it makes me more intrigued to watch the college games, the college level. So, yeah, I think it's very important.
And I'll say this, it's Angel Reese too, right? I mean, because
Yeah.
you need a good storyline, you need a good villain, and I think South Carolina is playing the villain. They're playing it well, and this coach is playing it well. And
Let me ask you this. Who would you rather watch? Would you rather watch the NBA today or women's or the WNBA?
Caitlin Clark's playing. I'll turn it on, and I don't care.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Caitlin Clark's playing. I'm going to turn it on. I'll watch. I'd rather watch her than probably 80% of the NBA. I'm sorry. It's just I don't mean to poo-poo all over the NBA, but it's just unfortunately the NBA to me is really not that competitive. It's and I'm in Massachusetts. The Celtics just won the championship. Guess what? I didn't really care much, just because in this day and age, everybody's just trying to shoot threes. There's no, I don't know. It's not the same anymore. Like growing up, I mean, again, I was born in '87, watching Michael Jordan, Barkley, Ewing, Tim Duncan. These guys didn't want to play with each other. They wanted to beat each other. It was a competition, and I feel like we're starting to get that now with the WNBA. You're starting to see the rivalries build up. You're starting to see some hatred. I believe in a more respectful, competitive way. But again, I mean, let me ask you guys, would you guys rather watch an NBA game, or would you rather watch if Caitlin Clark's on? Who would you rather watch?
Angelo.
I'll tell you this. I agree with both of y'all said. If Caitlin's playing, I'm watching. And I hope the other person that looks like me on the screen when she comes to Atlanta this year will buy me a ticket so I can go watch her too.
Go ahead, Gabriel.
Yeah, guys, I echo what everybody said. She's incredible to watch. Always enjoy watching her when those games are televised. But man, I'm kind of an old school throwback dude. I actually still enjoy the NBA, and I think when it gets playoff time in the NBA, that's when the NBA really gets good. And really can bring fans back. So I think that's when it really starts to get competitive, and guys are really starting to actually try to defend. So I think playoff NBA is really good.
All right, Gabriel, I'm going to take your word for it, because I'm going to start. We're getting close to the playoffs and stuff. I'm going to take your word for it, because I haven't watched the NBA in a very long time. I mean, obviously Jason Tatum with the Celtics. I see bits and pieces of what he's been doing. But I'm going to take your word for it. I'm going to give the NBA. I do think that the NBA playoffs is something, but it's very hard to keep me intrigued with it. It is. I mean, I prefer NHL playoff hockey. That's a different level. But I mean, it's just. Let me ask you guys while you guys are here. What do you think the NBA is missing? Because I believe that their ratings are at an all-time low. And we seen what just transpired with the Lakers and stuff like that, with the blockbuster trade. I'll ask you guys, what is the NBA missing in this day and age? Why is the NBA fell off so much compared to, hockey, even baseball? Like, I've actually fell out of touch with basketball, and I've actually grew a new love for baseball. I prefer baseball over basketball. But let me ask you guys, what's going on with the NBA? Why do you guys feel like it's losing its mojo here?
Luster.
Yeah,
Guys, can I take a shot at that first?
absolutely.
Sure.
I think it goes back to when LeBron had the decision.
Oh yeah.
When we go back, I'm old school because I am old. And you know what? I wish we had the money man, Larry DiBiase, on, because could you imagine Larry Bird trying to recruit Isaiah Thomas or Michael Jordan to come play in Boston? That would never happen. That is just the thought of a super team. No, not happening. And you know what? What if Len Bias would have lived and played 10 years in Boston? My Lord, how that would get. But you know what? Fans are tired of watching these guys just basically say, hey, I'm going to go play with my friend. We're going to try to lock up a championship by putting together these super teams. I may be wrong, but that's my thought.
I feel like there's no balance in the NBA, in my opinion. That's the problem. Like, going back to what you said, Leo, with the decision. That was ridiculous. That was unnecessary. And I just feel like the balance of power in the NBA was just there's no balance.
I'll tell you from my end, Gabriel could answer more. He watches a lot more NBA than me, but I would argue, like I think you said, Louie, about the 3-point shooting, the lack of defensive effort. If y'all remember back, and Louie and Gabriel and I are just a few years older than you. We're born early '80s, but if you remember the bad boys from the Pistons, you tell me those guys, you didn't want to come in the lane with Brick Mahorn and Lambeer and Rodman. You came in that lane, and they were going to make sure that you don't want to come back in the paint. And now we just kind of give you a handshake when you come into the lane and make your layup, and just the defensive effort's not there.
Yeah,
I
agree.
Hey, guys, we got a quick walk here shortly for hockey, but I got to ask the $64 million question. Angelo, then Gabriel, then Louie, then Peter. Who wins the women's championship and why?
Okay, I'm gonna go with an upset, which is crazy to call them an upset, but with the highest seed in the field, Paige is going to get her ring. They've shown they can beat any. They dismantled South Carolina here in February on their home court by 30, proving they can beat anybody. And so I'm going to have Vic Schaefer beating Dawn again. So I'm going to go upset. Texas to beat South Carolina, and UConn to beat Texas and let Paige have the title.
Gabriel?
This might come as a shocker, but I'm going to agree with my older brother by 10 minutes. I think UConn is just fine. Like I said, I think Beckers was. She was on the cover of Sports Illustrated in high school as the next big thing. I think she's really coming to. Obviously she battled some injuries. I think this is her one shining moment, and I've got the Huskies cutting down the nuts.
Guys, I'm going to throw mine out before Louie and Peter do. I'm going with the Bruins. I just think that the big girl is going to have 2 phenomenal games, and they're going to be able to shoot and defend. I think UCLA ends up winning the whole shooting match, and I think they're going to play Texas. I think that Connecticut and South Carolina get beat in that semifinal game, and it's UCLA over Texas in a squeaker. Louie?
I'm going to have to go with the team up the road for me. I'm going to take the UConn Huskies to take everything. Again, I've been watching. I've been keeping not a close eye on it, but UConn looks pretty good. I like Beckers, but I don't know. I'm going to take UConn.
Peter?
I'm going with UConn versus South Carolina. Everybody wants to see this matchup. Will become full screen here. Good versus evil, if you will. The villainous South Carolina. You've got UConn back. You got the best player in this tourney with Paige there. I'm going to go with UConn. Win it all.
Hey guys, Gabriel and Angelo, can we get you back on Monday night? Because the women are going to finish Sunday. Can we get you on Monday night at 9:00 again to tie this thing up?
Absolutely. I might just
Sounds
need to get
great.
I need to get a Baker Mayfield or Bucks jersey or something so I can fit in and wear next time I'm on.
Love it. There you go. That's what I'm talking about. Baker Mayfield, you're absolutely more than welcome on Monday night here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television, guys. By the way, do you guys have that twin power where the other one knows what the other is thinking?
Yes.
Yeah.
Confirmed.
My
Confirm-
girlfriend just texted me. She's watching the show. She said, "Are they really twins?" I said, "Yes."
They're twins.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I know you have to drive people nuts just looking at this going, hey, what's going on here?
And hey, as close as we are, I can flush a 7-iron right now and hit his house or my house. I can promise you that.
All right, guys. Appreciate the time here on
See
the
you guys. Thank
Thank
y'all.
you guys
Thank
for
y'all
joining
so
us.
much.
All right, great stuff there from those guys. So we shift gears here. Let's go out to these guys because everybody's like, you never talk hockey on this show. You never talk about the Tampa Bay. I love the Tampa Bay Lightning. I love Jeff Finnick. I wish Jeff Finnick were the owner of the Tampa Bay Rays. If I had my druthers, if I had my wish, besides the Bucks winning another Super Bowl with Baker Mayfield, it would be Jeff Finnick, the owner of the Tampa Bay Rays, now the owner of the Tampa Bay Lightning. But let's get these guys on. Longtime friends of the show. In fact, they told me one time they were inspired by this show with doing their great podcast for the Tampa Bay Lightning, We the Thunder. Let's go out to Mr. Shooter right there. Worked with him. Was a cartoon. Everybody thinks I'm a Looney Tune anyway. Welcome to the Evolution, my friend.
Oh, it's good to be back. I don't know why I get so nervous when I get on the sports web because it's the Evolution. Maybe because I don't bring enough passion. Maybe it's because I'm usually the one in the chat saying, like, are you ever going to talk about hockey on this show?
Well, listen, we need to make this a usual occurrence because our good friend, one of our good friends there, JP Peterson of the JP Peterson Show, works for Lightning Vision. Again, I love what the Lightning do. They do it right. They do it by the book. Let's go out to Mr. Schooley here. Welcome to the Evolution. Thomas Schooley on the Sports Web. Welcome back.
What's up, guys? It's good to see you again, Peter. We were just talking with Leo on our podcast and then told everybody to come over here and check out you because we always have fun. Like Shooter said, we tend to have a lot more fun on other people's podcasts than we do our own.
You know what, guys? Did you have a chance to see any of the stuff we just finished? Because I know people were looking at the twins and going, are they twins? Do they got two guys or they got one guy double? I tell you what, the way Peter...
I think you bumped your head, Leo, because you think that UConn is not going to win the national championship. You're out of your mind.
Thank you.
Think Paige is not going to win that national championship. She's going to win it by herself and take UConn on the back. And I hate UConn with a passion and want to see new champions. But you bumped your head to think she's not winning this.
Hey, guys, you know what? Here's an amazing stat about Connecticut. They have the record for most consecutive wins at 111. Now, think about that. That's 4 years. They also have number 2 and number 3 at 90 and 77. Gino has won 3 streaks, 70 in a row, 90 in a row, and 111 in a row. And these guys, the one thing about the women, it's not like the men where you avoid playing the best. They play the best, and they're not afraid of it. And it's amazing. But I'll tell you what, guys, watch UCLA. That big girl, she's a beast.
You like? I gotta check out these matchups. And Leo, I wish I would have got credentialed with you in Amped Up Sports so I could see it. But you're gonna be out there. You're gonna be covering it. You're gonna give us some great sound there. So definitely tune in. And who knows? Maybe we'll have some breaking news here on the Sports Web during or after the broadcast. With that being said, gentlemen, let's get into it. Lightning take care of business last night over the Islanders 4-1. Once again, Vasilevsky continues his streak here. I mean, 1.90 the last 20 games or 21 games here. Just amazing stuff. Looks like the best goalie in the league, right, Shooter?
Yeah, Vasi's back to the big cat form, which we're all used to, and which brought us 2 Stanley Cups. So, anyone that has not been paying attention to the Lightning, I know there's a lot of casual fans out there that won't really tune in till they go on these exciting playoff runs because the playoffs in the NHL are so long. They call it the second season for a reason. But the Lightning are in a really, really strong spot right now. If you recall back into January, they had their worst month of the season. There were a lot of questions around the team. Nobody looked good, but since February, they just really haven't lost that many games. So February, they lost 1 game in a shootout, I want to say. They won the rest of their games in February. And don't forget, in February, they did have almost like a 2-week break for the Four Nations tournament where we did have, our coaches, our GM, and a bunch of our players playing and winning gold medals too, a bunch of them. But they followed it up with a great March. They are 9-5-1. And right now, they're in position to potentially take over first place in the Atlantic Division tomorrow night if they can win. I've got the Panthers and the Maple Leafs, who are squished in between right now in the ratings or the standings. They're playing right now on this TV. I think it's still tied 1-1 in the third. But either way, if the Panthers can win this game or can slow down the Leafs and maybe cause an overtime, the Lightning have a really good chance to win tomorrow and get in first place. And what that means is they're going to have a better seeding in the playoffs. And if you listen to us tonight with Leo, the importance to that really is your matchups going into the playoffs are going to be very different depending on really where you finish in that top.
Let me go on to go ahead.
Leo. On the head there. And the reason I'm saying this, the Lightning had their designated week off. I think it was week 3 of the season.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, they're like 7, 8, 9 games in, and now they get a week off. They had to play straight from pretty much November through to February. And then the best thing that happened to them was the Four Nations, because now they had a chance to rest and recover. And you know what? I think the best thing that happened was watching that fight sequence with the U.S. because there's Brandon Hagel, and he is the last guy you expect to fight. But you know what? He didn't back down. And it was a bunch of the guys from the Florida Panthers. And since then, the Lightning have been on fire.
Stampede, baby.
And you got somebody in the background who's showing his ass. He's a big-time Lightning fan, but you can hear him in the back there. Will you be quiet? Get out of here, Steve, right there. Yeah, I mean, let me go out to you on this, Schoolie. What are your initial thoughts on that win last night versus the Islanders? Once again, it's Vasilevsky, and it's the new additions on this team. Talk about that a little bit.
It's huge. We just got, for the first time in franchise history, we have 7 players with 20 goals this season. It's never happened before. A trade deadline, we picked up Yanni Gord returned to the team. We got Bjork Stan. Bjork Stan became a 20-goal scorer. Not all of them with the Lightning, but he did hit 20 now that he's here. Yeah. And like Shooter said, going into the playoffs, and we talked about this on our podcast, it's home ice advantage is what you're really wanting. Usually you hear Cooper say that it's not important where you place, just get into the playoffs. I think this season it's different. I think this season they want home ice advantage. They played much better at home than they have on the road by far. I mean, their record at home and Vasi's record at home. And to have that Amalie Arena sold out playoff game 1 first round is going to be absolutely nuts no matter who they play. And I think the team feeds off of that, something we have not had the last couple of years. We have finished third and not had that game 1, game 2 here at home. We've always had game 3, game 4. We got bounced in the first round the last couple of years. And so I think that's important for Coop. Not only that, you also get the matchups that you want. Home team gets that last line change, and Coop's known to do that matchup. And this year you have totally stacked lines. I mean, it don't matter which line you go with in any of these games. These lines are stacked this year. They have definitely built themselves and have the momentum at the right time going into the playoffs.
You're speaking of momentum here, Shooter, when they make that trade, and I love what the general manager says, and I feel like that's where the Bucks are at this point when it comes to championship window. We're going for it. We're not only trying to make the playoffs, we're trying to go for the cup. You love that. What did you think of when that trade happened, especially a fan favorite like Yanni Gourde in the mix?
I was shocked that the Lightning brought back Yanni Gourde. You don't really see the Lightning bring back too many players. Like, yeah, it's happened in the last 10 years under the current regime where like Vladimir Pestkov's come back. Thank goodness Ryan McDonough came back this season when they traded back to get him.
Yeah.
But really, other than that, you don't see the Lightning bringing back too many players. So to me, it was a huge surprise. To a lot of fans, everyone was really happy because Yanni is just a fan favorite. You saw him get in the fight last night, really for no reason. Third period, the other guy just wanted to go. They're talking about it before the puck drops, and hey, that's hockey. They dropped the gloves, and the Lightning kind of needed a guy like that. They needed a guy that can kind of throw down and lay down those hits and also score goals. And I think that's what Yanni brings to the table. But I've been talking about it since the trade deadline, or this happened right before the trade deadline. Lightning kind of got ahead of the curve with this one. Is Oliver Bjorkstrand is really the prize of this. Yanni's going to be a free agent at the end of the season. Maybe they bring him back. It really is going to kind of depends on the numbers. But Bjorkstrand signed through the end of next season, and that was a very Lightning move to make. The Lightning don't value those draft picks that much. No. Get rid of them, move them for a player that you can bring in now into the future, into the next couple years. That might be a player that can stick. And Bjorkstrand hasn't been, lighting the world on fire. But if you're really watching Lightning games, he's getting a lot of opportunities. He's in there making plays, and the goals are going to come. And it's not like he hasn't scored goals. I think he's scored 3 or 4 since he's been here, matched or got over that 20 goal mark. Yeah. But I think, he's going to be a guy that's around next year and maybe gets extended if he can kind of find his spot on this team. So I was excited for the trade, and I was not surprised at all, because what you've seen consistently with JBB is he's going to make the moves, and it doesn't really matter what the cost is to keep this team in the run. And this year he's done it better. He's set up for success more because he's got way more depth than they've had in the last couple of years. And that's why when you kind of look at the Lightning this year compared to the last 2 years for first round exits, you got to think that the Lightning have a good chance of making a deep run into the playoffs.
And Peter, it's not just that too. It's going into this season, there was a lot of scrutiny. You had them obviously parting ways with the captain for 15 years, Steven Stamkos. Yeah. You had them trading out Mikhail Sergachev, who was a young defenseman that they had said for many years that this was our defenseman of the future. Right. We trade him to Utah. We get Connor Geekie, who we saw at the beginning of the season and now lighting it up in the AHL. You got JJ Moser, who was good, injured. Now he's getting back into form. You had them name Hedman as the captain. And so this season started, and the signing of Jake Getzel was the biggest prize of the offseason. So he was under a lot of scrutiny this year, I think more than any. And I think that Stamkos one was the huge thing. Personally, yes, because as you can see, to me, there's no other better player that's ever worn the Bolts sweater. So there was a lot of scrutiny going into the season. And like Shooter said, if you go back to like trade deadline shows from the last 2 seasons, you'll hear Shooter say, people, Gourde ain't coming back. We are not getting Yanni back. Stop saying it. Yanni's never coming back. And then you started hearing whisperings, and then all of a sudden, here's Yanni Gourde back, who was a fan favorite. And then all of a sudden, people are like, okay, thanks, JBB. We love you again. So I think this is kind of what they need this year after the offseason that we had with some of the beloved stars leaving and not by their choice. When Yanni left to Seattle, he was picked up in the expansion draft. We didn't trade him. We didn't release him. Right. He was picked. So that was not a player that the Lightning was really like, okay, you got to go. And that was not like, and it wasn't like the Vegas draft. The Vegas draft you had when we got rid of Garrison, it kind of was, you told Vegas who they could have. Mm-hmm. And Vegas made little side deals. You get 3 draft picks plus our crappy player. Where Seattle, the NHL said that's not going to happen on this draft. Seattle's going to pick. And they took Yanni Gourde, and he was great up there. He was injured, came out of injury the day before he got traded, and then comes back and has fit right back in.
Yes, go back to that emotion that day, and we got Leo Haggerty on, of course, Louie from the Frozen Pirate podcast, Thomas Schooley there of We the Thunder, and of course Shooter here. I'm your host, Peter Blake. It's the Sports Web, your Rolex reporter. And speaking of time, go back to that Shooter and where you were, thinking, what you were thinking at that point, knowing that Stamkos was moving on. Did you trust in the process? Because I always say when it comes to talking about the Bucks, we trust Light, we trust that Buccaneer organization. Same kind of goes there with JBB and this Lightning organization, right? What were your emotions when Stammer left?
I was surprised. I didn't think that the team would kind of get away from Stamkos, knowing how much of an integral player he's been here. He's arguably the best Lightning player of all time. I think a lot of people would put him in that number 1 spot. 5 years ago, you'd say it was Marty St. Louis or Vinny Lecavalier. But I think after winning those last 2 cups, you move Stamkos, you move Hedman into those top 2 spots. And, it was the same situation with the Bucks and Evans. Do the Bucks bring Evans, one of the best players in franchise history, back? And the Bucks did it without a doubt. But I think with Stamkos, you're talking about a different kind of player who played most of his career as a center. As you get older, it's harder to play center. You've seen him the last couple of years start to play more wing. And his production didn't drop off hugely, but he was scoring all his goals in the power play. So during 5-on-5 play, which is the majority of the play in the NHL, he was a minus. So he was giving up more goals when they were on the ice than they were scoring. So that's kind of twisted with Jake, who ironically is also now he's a great plus minus player, 5-on-5, but he leads the league in power play goals for the Lightning, which is funny because he really wasn't a 1-to-1 replacement with Stamkos. Stamkos is a rare. It's kind of funny for people that don't really realize that, but a right-handed shot is actually a little bit more rare than a left-handed shot in the NHL. So that's why Stamkos and Ovechkin were so deadly from that spot. And the Lightning still haven't really filled that spot, but wait, because once Bjorkstrand, one of the new guys that they brought into the trade deadline, a right-handed shot who's been playing on Stamkos' spot on that hash in the power play, if he can start to get this game together and start to get that shot together, then watch out, because he might be the next guy scoring all the goals on the power play for the Bolts.
Yeah, the Bjorkstrand move reminds me of Hagel all over again. You're making a move. You don't care about the trade, and you get a highly talented player who's shown he can score 20 goals. This team, 7 players with 20 goals this year, just amazing scoring output. Tell you what, let's go out to the comments. Leo, if you got a question, but I want to read some of these comments here. Mr. Mike DeRoche there in Canada, is there high school hockey in Florida? There is. NBA is just too soft. Go Cubs, go. Thanks a lot for that. There's more defense in high school basketball than the NBA. Crystal says, We the Thunder, a Tampa Bay Lightning podcast, sent me here. Absolutely. Hockey talk.
Back up. Try to pronounce her last name.
That's a hockey last name.
Yeah.
Zabinski.
Thank you, Miss Zabinski, for tuning in here. We appreciate it. Steve Zafredo, Bull Sharks champion shooter. Congratulations to you, my friend. Absolutely. Christopher Cole, the pass by Gooch was epic. We'll get back to that in a moment because PK Subban made his thoughts known about Mr. Kucherov. I live in Winnipeg. The Jets, most points, most wins, best goalie in the world. Connor Hellebuck. That's what he
Yep.
said. Goals
No
against.
one's gonna disagree with that. Connor is definitely gonna win the Vezina trophy again. There is no better. As much as Vasi, I'm a huge Vasi fanatic. Connor is the goalie this season. Come playoffs, like Shooter said, it's a whole second season, and we have seen Vasi be Vasi in the playoffs. And Connor, unfortunately, there's a reason why the Winnipeg has not won a Stanley Cup. So with Connor as their goalie, Vasi has won 2. In playoffs, Vasi becomes Big Cat, not Vasi, and Hellebuck becomes Pussycat.
Oh, there you go.
I like that. That's a good one.
Steve says, let's see how he does in the playoffs this year. Mike DeRoche. If the season ends today, it's Bolts at Panthers. Great series. We'll get back to that in a moment. You mean Panthers at Lightning since the Bolts are in second place. Serena says, which he just scored the OT winner tonight for the Crunch, by the way. Connor Geeky, I believe speaking of. And right, everyone was ready and thought Tyler was going to Seattle, being Tyler Johnson. And it didn't happen that way. It was, of course, Yanni Gourde going there. With that being said, let's talk about PK Subban. Listen, I thought Kucherov should have won the MVP. I don't understand that you need to have an investigation last year of why he didn't win the MVP. What he said is he believes that Kucherov should be the MVP this year. He's unselfish. We saw a couple of games ago, and I know a lot of fans were cringing about it, how he didn't take the open net, how he passed the puck instead to Gensel to get him, and how he's unselfish. Talk about a shooter here, Kucherov here, and should he be the MVP? Is PK on to something?
Yeah, he should. He should have won it last year. He had better stats than McKinnon, and he's a winger. He's not a center. They're two different positions, and you don't see wingers scoring as many points as Nikita Kucherov does. I don't know how many have scored or had 100 assists like he did last year, and he could get there this year with 100 assists, but you just don't see that from wingers. I thought it was great. I'm not a huge PK fan. I knew he was going to be in the broadcast booth. You could just tell he's got the personality to do it. But what he did last night for Cooch and the Lightning I thought was awesome, because if you talk to Lightning fans, whenever we're on national TV, they're always complaining during the game. Oh, the other team's getting more love. Oh, it's almost like the Lightning aren't playing. Last night, you knew the Lightning were playing, and you knew that they were the better team, and you knew that they were the favorite, and you knew Nikita Kucherov is allegedly, according to PK Subban, the best player in the NHL. Like, it was like he was man-crushing on Kuch last night, and I couldn't have been happier, because you really don't see that with Nikita Kucherov. I was just screwing around on Instagram a couple days ago, and I was just looking at NHL's Instagram just to see what they post. And here's the context here. Kucherov has all of a sudden, he's been kind of in top 5 all season, but he really hasn't been in first place in scoring, which, by the way, last season he was pretty much first place in scoring all season.
Right.
But this season he hasn't been at the top spot, and really in the last 2 weeks, he's just taken his game to another level. Last night, 3 more points I think he had, took over McKinnon, who was last year's MVP. So right now he is number 1 in the NHL for points scored.
111 points to
people
people
just don't talk about Kucherov. I don't know why the NHL doesn't give him some love. People will tell you, well, he kind of was a jerk after the Cups with his comments in Montreal, and the number 1 BS stuff. And last year he went to the All-Star game and kind of made a joke out of the skills competition, which, by the way, is already a joke. It was already a joke. They didn't even have it this year.
Right.
And he gets a bad rap, I think, because he's Russian.
Yeah.
He's Russian. But it shouldn't take away from he's one of the most talented players, if not the most talented in the NHL today. I will say, I think, what's his name? McDavid, probably skills-wise, is the best player in the NHL. But Nikita Kucherov does it with ease. And that is what PK was saying last night. He was pointing out what a lot of the hardcore Tampa fans know. Cooch looks like he's barely skating out there. He looks like he's barely trying, and he's dominating you.
Yeah, he is. It is unbelievable, and I think he sets the tone here, Schoolie. And Leo, you've talked about this before, saying you believe that Kucherov is the Magic Johnson of hockey because he is the facilitator, if you will, Leo Ward, on that. I mean, do you agree with that Cooch really is the stir that stirs that drink?
Absolutely. He's the best player in hockey right now, bar none. Let's talk about what he does for this team, and the fact that in the last 3 or 4 games he's having 3 and 4 point nights.
Yeah,
I mean, we're not talking about a guy who's going to score 50 goals, but he's going to set up a bunch of them.
Yeah,
and he's stepped up. Once Stamkos left and Hedman became the captain, Kucherov, I think Coop kind of challenged him a little bit. You need to play both ends of the ice.
right.
And he's starting to do that. And I think PK showed that last night early in the broadcast. He's going, everybody talks about how Cooch doesn't play defense. Well, guess what? Look here. He's going back. He's back checking. He's doing this. He's doing that. And you know what, guys? What else do you want the guy to do? You want him to sell beer at intermission? You probably do that too.
Well, he should be, he should suspend everybody who doesn't vote for him, like he suspended that reporter who was trying to talk in the presser there. Suspended. Schoolie, talk about Cooch.
I mean, Leo just said he's not someone that will score 50. He can score 50 though. He could break Stamkos's record of 61 if he really wanted to. He is such an unselfish person. And Shooter brought up something on our podcast tonight with, 7 players having more than 20 goals. That could take something away from Kucherov's MVP votes, because now it shows that you have a team that you have that many goal scorers. But if you look at his assists, and you look at those other 6 players that have the 20 goals, how many of those have Cooch assisted? I mean, you got to look at Getzel at point, probably Hagel's, a lot Sorelli's, a lot of them probably were an assist by Cooch somewhere in there. So, there was a lot of talk last year when Nathan McKinnon won that it was said it was his turn. This is Kucherov's turn. There's so many things that the Lightning have been overlooked, and we were finally in the foreshadow last night. Steven Stamkos never got the recognition from the league that he deserved. Hedman has never. He won the Norris Trophy, but he never really got the recognition he deserved. Bassey never. Yeah, he's won 2 Stanley Cups as a goalie, but the Russian goalie you hear most about is Igor Shesterkin or Bobrovsky down in Florida. So, the Tampa Bay Lightning don't get a lot of love, and I think that's because they're expected to do this every year. We have never seen Cooper win the Jack Adams Award for the best coach in the NHL. He should have at least 5 of those. Yep. And this year, another thing, he should win it again. We talked about the changes in the offseason, the team that he's built. We talked about it today, not just when the coaches, the GMs always get the good and the bad side of when a trade happens and stuff like that. But you had Coop who had to put these people. You can't disrupt someone like Cooch. But now you see Cooch, who is playing like Ovi, stays out there almost the whole power play, and he can play with anybody. This is an MVP type person and deserves it this year more than ever, I think.
All right, let me go out to the comments here. Let's go out to Steven. PK shut down the Cooch haters for all of ESPN to hear, as Cooch has always been an elite player year after year. Mike DeRoche, last goalie to win the Hart Trophy MVP was Carey Price. Serena says, lame excuses. This is all I hear. I don't know who that's directed to. Mike DeBrochet, underrated American player Kyle Connor, doesn't get a lot of press. If he played in a bigger market, you would hear his name more often. And Crystal says Kucherov is a great shooter, but he's a better team player. He's always passing, assisting every player on the team. This is what should make him the MVP. He deserves so much recognition, but the NHL doesn't give him that because they are petty. Agree with that.
And can I give you the worst example of that, Peter? The worst, best example of Cooch being a unselfish player. Saturday, day game at Amalie Arena versus the New York Islanders. Lightning are up 4-0. For whatever reason, third period, they have a backup goalie and it's not Vassy. But they gave up 3 goals pretty quickly in the third period. All of a sudden, it's a game. And it's a close game going right down to the wire. Islanders hold their goalie. Cooch gets the puck. He's basically got a 2-on-1, has the goal with no goalie in it. Goalie's pulled dead to right, ready to shoot the puck. He passes. I think it was to Cirelli to help Cirelli, continue to rise up, and he's already breaking his own records as far as goals and points this season. Right. That's how unselfish this guy is. But a lot of those things go unnoticed for whatever reason, because his history or whatever it is with Cooch. So I don't know. I feel like I should write PK a letter because what he did last night for Cooch was pretty cool.
What's the biggest weakness for this team, in your opinion, guys? Shooter first.
Oh, gosh. I don't know. There's a lot of depth to this team. I think the only thing I worry about is we saw in January, for some reason, they had this little stretch where they just couldn't score goals. That's a pretty good weakness to have, right? Because the team, if you look at goal differential, which usually the top teams, have a very high plus goal differential. The Lightning are sitting at a plus 72. So they've scored 72 more goals than they've let in. You compare that to the team surrounding them, Montreal, who, by the way, is winning right now with a couple minutes left over the Panthers. Montreal is a plus 23. The Panthers are a plus 34. So Lightning
You're talking Toronto. Montreal's not playing them tonight.
Sorry, the Toronto man. I put all those Toronto, Montreal.
Actually, you're behind. The Florida Panthers just won the game, so that actually puts Tampa in the driver's seat, and they control their own destiny for their win.
All right. There we go.
Yeah. So now Tampa can max out at the most points, and that stops Toronto from clinching a playoff spot tonight. Tampa can clinch a playoff spot with a win tomorrow night, or a Montreal or Columbus loss. And so they are in the driver's seat of the Atlantic Division now, and it couldn't be any more for the Lightning, better for the Lightning. And I would say their weakness is the age. I think and this is going to be the next couple seasons. You got to win now. You have Hedman, who's getting up there in age, and you've seen kind of a downfall in his play this year. And you got McDonough, who is still an iron horse, but he's getting up there in age for a defenseman. Its age is their weakness.
All right. I want a last question here, and I get you guys out of. We appreciate the time. Please don't be strangers. Anytime you want to come on the Evolution, we're making a hockey segment. We the Thunder here. Shooter, of course, Thomas Schooley joining us with the legend himself, Leo Haggerty. Of course, Louie right there.
Real quick, I guess I was wrong. Toronto won? Yes. Toronto won, so actually they do clinch a playoff spot, and they control the destination, but we do have a head-to-head with them.
Okay. Well, there you go. Let me ask you about the baseball situation, because I said before we got on, my wish upon wishes, not only Baker Mayfield and the Bucks win a Super Bowl, another one, or win one Super Bowl with them, but, Jeff Finnick, an owner like that, would own the Rays. You've done your Shooter cartoons. I love it. I'm a big fan of it, Shooter. You do a great job with it. Glad to be a part of it. Hopefully in the future, more a part of that. You've done Stu. What do you think of this situation? What were you thinking of that situation when Stu and the stadium deal once again fell through?
I think we're going to do more Stu videos until he sells the damn team. I can't wait to go to a game at Steinbrenner Field, to be honest with you. I have not been to one yet. I know there's only been a few.
Right.
But I can't wait to go. I think baseball is meant to be played outside. I know it's Florida and it's hot, but and trust me, I don't want to sit outside in the heat even in the summer at night anyway. But baseball is just meant to be outside. You know, the sounds, the smells, it's all meant to be played outside. I don't know. The guy's got to sell the team. Like it's what if he doesn't seem to want to build a stadium in Tampa or St. Petersburg. The NHL wants him, or the NHL. That's how much I talk about hockey. MLB wants him to sell the team. It seems like they're pressuring him. I don't think Vinnick's going to be the answer. Although maybe he is, because he sold the majority share of the Lightning this season. He's still in control, but he has sold his shares of the Lightning. So maybe that's a move to try to free up some funds to buy the Rays, and hopefully he does the right things and puts the Tampa Bay Rays in the city of Tampa.
I brought that question up to him one time. I actually asked him after because he was a minority owner of the Boston Red Sox. And so I brought that up to him and asked him if he would buy the Rays, and he said dream one. But Peter, Leo, think of this. The Rays win the World Series in Tampa. In a year that they couldn't play in their dome, they win in the city of Tampa. Now we've had the Bucks, who have won a Super Bowl in Tampa, the Lightning, who have won a Stanley Cup in Tampa, and now the Rays win a World Series in Tampa.
I would love to say that, and I know Leo wants to say something, has something to say.
Epic.
The problem for me is, as long as they have this ownership, they're not going anywhere. They don't make the moves like Vinnick. They don't make the moves like the Glazers. They don't go all in. If they are there, I just don't think they're going to be able to last, because they need to pick up those pieces, an extra bat, an extra pitcher. Not able to do it, and he's cheap. He's always been cheap. He's Stu Culverhouse, in my opinion, especially with the numbers that got put out. 197 million, guys. That's unfounded, most likely in his pocket or under his mattress. Leo, go ahead and finish out.
Yeah, I got to get out of here, too, because, the left-hander's warming up.
Yes.
But, guys, careful what you wish for. Because if he sells the team tomorrow, it's getting moved. Because any ownership group coming in knows they're not going to be able to play in a major league stadium for at least another season. They will lose hundreds of millions of dollars playing at Steinbrenner.
Yeah.
And that's huge. The only way that ownership can stay here is if Major League Baseball says, hey, we will back you what you would have lost. Because I'll tell you what, unless it's a local owner, if you see a group come in, that team's going to Nashville in a heartbeat.
I'm telling you right now, I will bet you a steak at Outback Steakhouse, my friend. Medium well done with all the trimmings, the potatoes and everything on you, that if he sells the team, not only will I have a party, because I'm not a partier, I'll do shots or whatever. I'll have a sports web day with all my friends. You guys are all invited. Seriously. You too, Louie. Come and fly down, because that'll be an epic moment for me. Major League Baseball will force him to sell. This team will be here because Rob Manfred knows that it's BS, number one BS, if you will, with this ownership and how they treated the fans and how he's stolen money and taken revenue sharing. They get a new owner here. They will be here. Rob Manfred wants to be in here. The 11th largest media market. Book it, Dano. They're not going anywhere. They're staying in the Tampa Bay area.
And you got potential buyers like DeBartolo. His name's been out there. Mike Calta has hinted that he's with a group, and one of his best friends is a pretty well-known guy in David Wells, who also would like to keep the team in Tampa. So there's plenty of local groups here. They're going to force them to sell. You've seen it in almost every single sport. Dan Snyder with the Redskins / Washington Commanders. So they'll make him sell.
You forced Marge Schott to sell
Yep.
for a reason. You forced Dan Snyder to sell for a reason. Because the owner is cheap is not a reason.
Well,
Stealing money. He's stolen that baseball money.
thank
He's
you.
got one of the lowest payrolls, and in there still competing with other teams.
He has done that. But can you imagine, guys, and I always say this, can you imagine if it was like the Tampa Bay Lightning, where the Lightning go all in, they make the necessary moves at the trading deadline, they sign their own players. Can you imagine how much talent has gone out of this area, gone off of this organization, like a Ben Zobrist, like a Joe Madden who wins with the Cubs? I'm sorry, got to dig into that scab, but you got to dig into it. You know, it's almost like a Doug Williams situation where Hugh Culverhouse allows Doug Williams to leave. He wins the Super Bowl with Washington. You allow Joe Madden to leave, and Madden wins the World Series with the Cubs along with Ben Zobrist and Wade Davis. Unforgivable. What could have been all those years if you just go all in, spend money, and he is doing something. He's taking the money from the owners, from the big market teams like the Red Sox and the Yankees. He's putting it in his pocket instead of investing in the team. The owners are tired of it, and the commissioner is tired of it. Guys, with that being said, Shooter, go ahead and promote your great podcast here on the Evolution.
Yeah, look for We the Thunder podcast. Usually we're on Wednesday nights, but we really only have 2 Wednesdays left until the end of the season. The playoffs are coming that fast. So we'll have a post-game show next Wednesday because the Leafs are in town for a huge game. And then we've got actually JP Peterson the following Wednesday is coming on, and that will be our last regular season show. And then we transform into a post-game show for the rest of the playoffs. That is really, truly how this show started. We were kind of lucky, I guess. We started during COVID, and people couldn't even go out to watch games, and the team was playing up in a bubble, so they needed a place to talk about hockey. And a lot of people found us that way in our first year. So we're going to keep on doing our post-game shows. And by the way, when we do clinch a playoff series, which hasn't happened in 2 seasons now, we all jump on video and do a toast to winning that round. So hopefully you guys can find us and join us. I'm actually got some emails out right now. We usually give away a lot of stuff on our show. I guess we're not going to give away tickets anymore, unfortunately. But we're going to give away some other stuff. So more to come on that. Follow us at We the Thunder Pod on X and all that stuff. YouTube. We got to get some more YouTube followers. So find us on YouTube.
Yeah, well, I think we all need YouTube followers. Schoolie, thanks a lot for the time, man. You got something to stay here finally on the sports web?
No, it's always a pleasure being with you. Leo, thanks for joining ours tonight. But yeah, if you haven't seen, if you're a hockey fan, even not just a Tampa Bay Lightning fan, we will talk about other teams. We also have had other teams podcasts on, but we've had some real interested guests this year with some great stories. So go check it out. Go watch old shows, listen to old shows when you're not watching Peter Blake, who seems to have a show on every single night, it seems.
Listen, guys, I'll tell you this. If you guys ever want to do a remote, you let the Evolution of Sports Talk Television know, and I'll be out there. Like Leo says, book it, Dano. I'll bring the camera, bring the mics, and we'll do it to it. Let me know.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Peter.
All right. Good stuff, guys. Appreciate it right there. There's your hockey talk. Leo Haggerty, give me some final thoughts here on the sports web. I mean, I don't know what you want. We didn't have really that many calls. I think the content was so good.
Well, I'll tell you what. If I ever have to do 2.5 hours again, I'm going to get a catheter. Because I tell you, for an old guy like me. But, check us out on YouTube, Instagram. We're posting all sorts of stuff. Had some great interviews with Coach Todd Orlando. Hey, USF spring football's back.
Oh.
It's crazy. And I went on with the guys tonight. What a great podcast there, Peter. We couldn't have had 2 better guys to talk women's basketball, and everybody's looking at them going, "They're one guy."
I got a text message from the wife saying, "Are they real twins? You guys have real twins on the show?" And I'm like, "Yeah, they're real twins."
Yeah.
Don't let that deceive you. It's not a mirror camera. It's real.
Yeah, and it's the guy we had on Monday night. His dad, Larry DiBiase, the money man.
Yeah.
He had the whole family, and we're going to get the guys back on Monday night and then Wednesday night, John and Larry and I and Peter, we're going to tie up the men's tournament. So, guys, before my kidneys float away, I got to get out of here. Have a good night.
All right, good
night,
stuff.
Leo.
There, the legend himself, Leo Haggerty,
Book him, Dano.
right there on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. So, boom, he's out of here. We'll come back to the second shot. We'll read these comments, and then we will probably get into turnbuckle talk, or we will take your phone calls. The roommates are home, as you can see. They can hear doing all kinds of things in the back, which they're saying all kinds of things in the back because they know the Evolution has the energy. 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. So let's see here. I must say, I live in Winnipeg, but I'm a diehard Blackhawks fan. 53 years now. Bedard is supposed to be the savior. He needs help, as they all do. Mike Putin scored today 3 goals. I think he's talking about Ovechkin. Oh, Mike. I love you, brother. Rob Thompson, Kobe Bryant says Jamie Lindsay. Thanks a lot for tuning in, Jamie. Keep the Rays in Tampa. Absolutely. Yep. For the Toronto win. Serena says the people in Utah really want them. Dave, agree with, well, the people in Utah are not going to get them. Dave says, agree with Leo. Worry that team moves to Nashville, Utah Monster. It's not going to happen. I'm telling you, it's a trick by Major League Baseball that's been played on, and I can tell you why it's not going to happen. First, the ratings are here when it comes to, and let me go full screen on this. The ratings are here when it comes to watching Major League Baseball. It is a big-time media market. Second of all, they don't want a lawsuit. That's the reason why the Rays came here in the first place, because throughout the years in the 80s and the 90s, Major League Baseball used to use the city of St. Pete and Tampa, the Tampa Bay area, to their advantage. How do you think the Chicago White Sox got their new stadium? They used this area. How do you think the Seattle Mariners got their new stadium? They used this area. How do you think the San Francisco Giants got their stadium? They used this area. And when it came down to getting expansion baseball, they passed up on this area for the Florida Marlins. And guess what happened? They threatened to sue. So Major League Baseball, being what they are, trying to keep everything hush-hush and quiet, no PR nightmare, they gave the Rays to the Tampa Bay area. They're not going to take them away, period. It's not going to happen. So there you go. There's your explanation right there. Your little history rundown. And that's what Major League Baseball, that's what owners have done throughout time. They need somebody to use in order to abuse them, right? Use and abuse. They use this area, they abuse this area in order to get what they want. And now it's Tampa's turn. And this is what Stu has tried forever, tried to put St. Pete versus Tampa. But at the end of the day, it's not Tampa versus St. Pete. We should all be together. Whether the team is in St. Pete or Tampa, we have to be happy that the ball club is in the Tampa Bay area. We are together on this. We should be together on this.
It was a similar situation. Not to bring up the Patriots, but it was a similar situation with the Patriots, and they were trying to put a new stadium before Gillette went up. Like the people in Connecticut were complaining, people in Rhode Island, everywhere. It was just like, well, where are we going to put the stadium? You can't appease everybody, but at the end of the day, you have to find the best suited place for it, where people of the region can have access to it. You know what I'm saying? And that's what the final decision came down with the Foxborough Stadium at Gillette, in Foxborough. It was everybody within New England it's within an hour of a drive, which isn't too bad. The only thing that sucks is leaving. I feel like any stadium you leave after the game is terrible.
Sure.
But that's usually how it goes. Hopefully, honestly, Peter, though, I really hope the Rays can, I hope they could figure something out where they can play in Tampa. I think that'd be the best bet for them. I like Tampa. I like the area for Tampa.
I like Tampa too, and I love St. Pete. I'm an admin of I Love St. Pete, which you could see there, or a moderator, and over 200,000. I love downtown St. Pete. I love going to Fergs and whatever works at the end of the day. But Tampa to me seems like it makes a logical sense. But if St. Pete is willing to put out a stadium and willing to put out the money that this new ownership wants, then they're going to do it. I still think no matter wherever you put it, you've got to have fundamentally strong, sound ownership. This is not strong. Yeah. And people go, well, they won, and they went to World Series. It's not enough, because if you're trying to compete with Yankee and Red Sox fans, you have to do more. If you're trying to compete with Tampa Bay Lightning owners and their fans, you have to do as much as them or more. If you're trying to compete with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and their owners and their fans, you have to do more. If you don't, then the fans turn off, and they've done that over time because the ownership year after year after year has been critical of this fan base. And there is a fan base. I do believe that. You just have to have the ownership in order to do it. If you want to talk about this or anything else with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, renovations to the new stadiums, uniforms, anything is on the table. Hockey, 727-255-0391 at 727-255-0391. Agree with Leo Warrior. The team moves to Nashville, Utah, Montreal. Not happening. Christopher Cole. Question, which Japanese player has the most home runs this season? It's not Ohtani. Suzuki Cubs says Dave Ruffalo, Sun Devil Day. Bye. Have a good night. Thank you, Crystal, for tuning in. Don't be a stranger here. We do talk hockey. I'm tired of hearing about, you talk about this, the Bucks. This is all you do. Okay, but we'll go back
playoffs. Hockey playoffs are coming up, man. There's going to be plenty to talk about.
Playoffs. All right. So going back to it, we'll spend a little bit more time on this, and then we'll go out to Turnbuckle Talk. We got a very cool display or overlay that's our newest co-host worked on, Louie from the Frozen Pirate podcast. I love it. You guys are going to love it if you're wrestling fans. Want to go back to these comments from Todd Bowles. Everybody's position is up for grabs. I think Zion McCollum probably 1A, 1B because Zion stayed healthier last season. Dean's got to get healthy. You know, he comes in, he plays, he can't play half the year. Every couple of years, he understands he's got to get healthy. He's doing everything he can to be healthy, but we got to have some depth there just in case if somebody comes in and competes with him. He's going to have to compete. That, to me, tells you everything you need to know that if the best player on the board, and thank you, We the Thunder. We appreciate you as always. Thank you for coming on. That may be a sign of where you go with a corner or the best player. If the edge rushers are off the board, if the kid from Boston College, everybody's been talking about, or the kid from Marshall who has some character issues, maybe he's there. Maybe, and I don't know if Jason Light passes on him because of the character issues. But if the corner is the top, you think so?
Think will. Yeah, just because we dealt with that with Jameis Winston. And I don't think they want to go through that all over again. I really do. I mean, honestly, regardless of the situation, I dug into it a little bit. Not enough information to comment on it. Me personally, like I said, you got Hassan Reddick. I think that signing to me is such an under the radar signing. I mean, not to us Buck fans, but I think around the league, not too many people are like, oh, whatever. Like a lot of people don't understand. Larry Foote, the linebackers coach here, coached him with the Cardinals, I believe. That's huge. You know what I'm saying? Little things like that people don't know about go a long way with what makes decisions for a team. But you heard Todd Bowles say it right there. And like I said, I've done the research on the team. I've done the statistics. And there's no coincidence. I can't speak today for some reason. There's no coincidences in the universe. I was legit looking at these stats, and as I'm writing down these stats for today's show, I was listening to the interview, and that came out of his mouth. And right then and there, I believe I messaged you this morning. I said, I don't think they're picking inside linebacker anymore. I really don't. And usually they don't really tell people what they're doing. But for some reason, I believe Todd Bowles when he says it's obvious that we lack depth there. And it's all starting to make sense why he blitzes so heavy, because the past couple of years, our secondary hasn't been the greatest. The last couple of years, our secondary's been banged up. The past couple of years, we probably had one of the youngest secondaries.
Yeah.
And it's going to continue to be young. But the problem with the secondary is not a playmaker. And that's why Amos from Ole Miss is a guy I'm heavy on. Okay. Watts is another guy. That's a ball hawking safety / corner. These two guys could fit into Todd Bowles' defense. Amos is more of a bigger guy. I mean, like I said, the writing's on the wall there. You said it. Depth at that position, and Todd Bowles has tried to do a good job of disguising our biggest weakness. Our biggest weakness is not up front. Our biggest weakness is we have covered corners that are not available. And that's one of the most important stat lines that nobody talks about is availability. And Jamel Dean has not been available for much this season. He's been banged up. So it is what it is, man. The writing's on the wall. I mean, if one of these two guys are there, you got to get him. hey, maybe Jahad Campbell's situation, maybe he drops back, and maybe the Bucks can still scoop him up in the second round. I doubt it, but I mean, unfortunately, really digging in, Peter, and really looking at everything and going back years now. I'm like, this team they need a shutdown corner. That's what's missing, a shutdown corner and an edge rusher. They got their edge rusher. Now you just need your shutdown corner.
It makes sense. Now talking about Redick, of course, he inked the 1-year, $14 million contract, $12 million fully guaranteed. Light said on Monday. Not from a character standpoint. Every situation is different. There's a story behind everything. I think it's behind him, and in some ways, I was kind of excited. It gave us an opportunity to potentially get great value. I'm rooting for him to have a great year. Again, even at 30 years old, has the potential to do some big things. Also speaking about Redick, and this is from Joe Bucks fan with Todd Bowles. He said, Larry Foote had a lot to do with him. We talked about it quite a bit. I knew he was a heck of a pass rusher. We needed a pass rusher. We knew he started halfway through the season, so I would consider last season a wash for him. We expect him to be his old self with us. He could do a lot of things, but more importantly, he can rush the passer. If we got guys that can rush the passer, we let them rush the passer. I think he brings a great addition to help us rush with 4, so we can cover more and do those type of things. Bingo.
There you go. There you have it. I mean, all it takes sometimes, Peter, is one guy to infuse everybody else. That's all it takes. It's contagious. All it takes is one guy. We've seen it with Tom Brady. Not saying that Hassan Reddick's going to be the Tom Brady of the defense, but what I'm saying is guys like Yaya Diaby, who underperformed this year, I think are going to have a much better year. And like I said, the deal that they made with Hassan Reddick with the 1 year, $12 million, $14 million with incentives, $12 million being guaranteed, it's a win-win situation for both sides. If it doesn't work out, hey, there's no commitment there. If it does, then you have some decision-making. But that's a good decision. That's a good problem to have at the end of the season. Because like I said, if Yaya Diaby has 14, 15, 16 sacks, maybe, hell, I'm going to throw some good juju out there in the universe. Let's just say he ties Shaq Barrett's record with Warren Sapp. I think, and Hassan Reddick had 9 sacks, 8 sacks, 7 sacks. Hey, that's a successful signing in my opinion, because the biggest problem is we could get pressure from one side, but we just couldn't get pressure from the other side. It wasn't, again, the balance. It wasn't there, and sometimes it takes a good corner. Maybe, again, like if one of these corners are available in the draft and they come in and they instantly make an impact, what is football? What's the biggest thing in football between a quarterback and a wide receiver? Tom Brady preached this so much. Timing. If that corner, if Jamel Dean's healthy, or let's just say Zion McCollum is, hanging in there, again, these two guys that I just stated, these two young prospects, they're quick, man. 4.4, 4.3. They can hang with the best of them. Speed, coverage. I'm just saying, I think Hassan Reddick getting 9 sacks, 10 sacks, and Yaya Diaby, I think it's just one guy can really make a difference. That's all I'm saying. One guy can really make a difference on the defense. We've seen it with Aaron Donald. Outside of Aaron Donald, who else was on that Rams line?
Well, listen, you're exactly. Yes. I mean, you had Jared Verse last year, and you had Fisk coming from Florida State. Those two big guys, rookies, making an impact. How about Simeon Rice? You want to go back for the Bucks? How much did Simeon Rice make an impact? You've got JPP and Shaq Barrett. How much did they make an impact? So an edge rusher definitely is important, especially in a Todd Bowles defense, simply because of what he said. It gives us the opportunity to rush 4, which means we don't have to blitz as much. Mike D. Roche, my last comment was not a proper sports telecast, not politics. It's okay. I understand it. Yaya, 13 sacks, my prediction if he stays healthy. I like it. Oh, yeah. And Christopher Cole, double dip at DB. Let's also, Todd Bowles had this to say when it comes to Bucky Irving. He will be the guy coming in. Rashad White will play a ton, depending on how the game goes and how you rotate and use them. I think we got to get Sean Tucker in there a little bit more as well, because he's a heck of a runner for us. We got to play him a lot more than we played him in the past. In 2024, Irving amassed 1,514 yards from scrimmage with 8 touchdowns to his credit. White totaled 1,006 yards with 9 touchdowns, and Tucker 413 and 3. Bowles has mentioned an increased workload for Tucker in the past, which really never came to fruition. It's interesting, though. He mentions Tucker. We've heard the rumors. There's some people out there that love White. They absolutely are in love with Bucky Irving, but they want to see where the potential with this guy Tucker is. The thing is, he has to improve on pass protection. He has to get more consistent, not putting the ball on the ground. But here it goes. Here it is right there. Rashad White will play a ton, but we also need to get carries to Sean Tucker. So it's a good problem to have, and it's something
absolutely.
that you have to monitor with this Bucks rushing attack, in my opinion.
They got to learn to rotate these three guys because I think each one of these guys brings something different to the table. Bucky Irvin, I mean, I can't say enough. Buck fans, I don't need to explain. You know the deal. You know Bucky Irvin. I don't need to talk about him. Rashad White, we know the deal with him too. He's very good at pass blocking, picks up the blitz. Very good at that. Sean Tucker, we've seen some splash games with him. I believe he was week 14 NFC Player of the Week. They're playing a dangerous game though, because like I said, this could really make or break Rashad White's confidence. Because if he hears comments like this, you have Rashad White breathe. I mean, you have Sean Tucker breathing down your neck. If you're Rashad White, and a lot of people are high on this. Yeah. It's almost like karma coming back to bite him. Remember when Leonard Fournette was here and what he said when Fournette was the starter? Rashad White said, "I'm not here to be a backup. I'm here to be the starter." Now, Bucky has taken that position from you. There's a little bit of inconsistency that I see with Rashad White. I mean, he still had a decent year, but what killed me was that fumble against the Cowboys. To me, that's a no-no. You can't do stuff like that. And quite frankly, that could have cost us our season.
Sure.
Very easily. I'm not opposed to trading Rashad White, but it has to be for the right price and it has to be a beneficial game for the offense and defense. That's the only way I'm trading Rashad White, or he's just completely unhappy and he wants, because Rashad White could, in my opinion, in the NFL right now, I think that he could be a starter, a first string running back on about maybe 17 different teams.
You might be right about that, and I will say this: he's definitely an integral part of that passing offense, especially when it comes to third down. It's not just Chris Godwin; it's Rashad White, and it's the reason
Will
why.
he accept that role again, though? That's the thing. If he's going to,
he has to. He has to. You know why? Because he's in a contract year. You have to shine. You have to show out, especially if you don't want to be here. But here's what we know: like Jason Light. He'll take care of his guys. Now, I'm not saying pay 2 running backs because eventually you're going to have to pay Bucky Irving, but who knows? Maybe he has an opportunity to earn a contract somewhere else if he plays it out. So he's going to have a good attitude. He's going to definitely have to be wanting to be productive because he'll be able to earn that second contract.
Honestly, Peter, this may not be a popular thing to say on the show, but here's the thing. And again, everybody out there, I am a diehard Buccaneers fan, but I'm going to speak to you as a football realist. In the interest of the team, you have a potential really good number 2 in Sean Tucker. We've seen flashes. Now, I'm willing to take my chances on that because running backs are a dime a dozen, and I think you can go out in free agency and go get another running back. If I'm the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and again, this is not going to be popular, but again, I said this about Tristan Wirfs when they drafted Tristan Wirfs. Nobody was happy with that pick. Oh, we need a playmaker for Tom Brady. No, Tristan Wirfs wasn't the sexy pick. It was the necessary pick. And now I'm going to say about Rashad White. Rashad White's in a contract year. If you're the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, what do you really have to gain right now with Rashad White on your roster? I get it. He brings something to the table. But at the end of the day, let's face facts. You're not going to pay 2 running backs. All right. I get it. Bucky Irvin's on a rookie contract. I understand that. But can you really see the Buccaneers investing a lot of money in Rashad White? Maybe, maybe not. But if I have a feeling that Rashad White keeps saying, hey, I want to be a starter, I want to be the starter, I want to be the starter, because everybody wants to be a starter. If I'm the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I'm going to at least try and field offers for him for a trade because you're going to lose him next year. They're not going to pay him top dollar. And I think he can go somewhere else. Maybe not. I could be wrong, Peter. I could be 100% wrong, and I hope I am because I'd love to keep Rashad White. But from a business standpoint, I think it's smart. If somebody calls you up in the draft or you have the potential to move up again or trade back into the first round and go grab another guy, I don't see why not because running backs are a dime a dozen.
They are a dime a dozen, but the reason why I would say you keep him, let me go full screen on this. The reason why you would keep a White is because he's familiar with the offense. Again, he's great in the passing game. He's good in pass protection. He's been a productive player. He hasn't been a nuisance. He is on that 1-year contract, so you still have him under control. And then furthermore, you're going to get the best out of him because he's going to have to earn that. And if you trade him, you're going to have to depend on an unknown. I get it. He's got potential in Sean Tucker. We've seen it. We've also seen him put the ball on the ground against the Cowboys and, of course, against the Giants. If not for Baker Mayfield being heads up on that.
Well, let me ask you this.
Yes.
If you get the guy you wanted in the draft and you have the potential to go trade back into the first round later on with like the Eagles or the Chiefs, because there's another guy there that you really, really like. Are you willing to trade Rachaad White?
I don't think so, and I'll tell you why. Because I don't know. It's the unknown for Sean Tucker. I know you want to get him carries, but I'm not ready to do that yet unless I've seen enough. The sample size there, I don't want to screw with the offense, and it makes sense because he is a bargaining chip. Jamel Dean could be that guy. They're talking him up. Maybe you
That's
trade
another thing too. Yeah,
right.
Jamel. This secondary could be completely different come week 1. We don't know. And then we have the Chris Godwin situation.
Yeah.
About him might not be ready week 1, which again, we've been on record of saying, I've been on record and saying, I'm okay with that because I've seen what Jalen McMillan can do. He's performed. He's put up 8 touchdowns as a rookie. He has a guy like Mike Evans leading the way, and Sterling Shepard's back, and hopefully the real pissed off Trey Palmer, because that's all I heard last year. I'm pissed off. And you know what? This is a kid who I thought he was my sleeper pick this year to really like excel. I thought he was gonna be our burner. He was gonna be our deep threat guy. Yeah, right. Good thing I didn't put a wager on that.
There's no timing with him and there's absolutely no timing with him and Baker, it seems like. I mean, I know they're trying to. It is. It's absolutely bad. So I just don't understand it at the end of the day, how they can't get the timing down now. Bulls talked about this today. Talked about it yesterday. I'm hoping he's on the field week 1. This is via Underdog. I'll have more to know about that after this month goes on to see how he feels when he gets running and practicing and everything else. All right. So we'll see how that works out. Finally, we'll wrap up with a couple more items. The Bucks and Ravens are going to, according to Joe Bucks fan, are going to have a joint practice squaring off in the preseason game in August. The teams are awaiting final league approval for the preseason schedule before announcing those plans. The practices and game would take place in Baltimore before the Bucks' only road game of the exhibition schedule. Of course, highly entertaining game where you lost.
I'm not going to Baltimore. No
right.
way.
No. All right. And then we'll finally finish up with this. What was that? I don't know what that is. Hold on a sec. Let's see. I don't know what that is. Okay. About the renovations. This is what the Glazers had to say. We did some renovations about 6 years ago, but now 6 years later, a lot of new stadiums have been built, and there have been a lot of different renovations and advances. So we're currently evaluating all those things. He said, we're going through a phase right now where we're assessing the stadium and what might be needed. I know Hillsborough County is assessing what might be. There's something we're always looking at because the fan experience is so important. And in the NFL and all of sports, we're constantly looking at the stadium, constantly looking at how we can improve it. Exactly.
Go talk to the Lightning. The Lightning.
Well, I mean, the Lightning know what they're doing. Go talk to the Rays, because this is exactly what fans want to hear from the owners. We're doing everything we can for the fans to enhance the fan experience.
Well, that's why I'm saying, like, go talk to the Lightning, because when I went down there, I mean, second intermission of a Islanders game in the playoffs against the Islanders, man, they picked my son out to there's a second intermission. They picked my son out of the crowd to ride the Zamboni. And amazing. Just the whole presentation before the game, like, I get the Buccaneers do their thing. But again, like I said to the Glazers, if you guys are listening, bring some black primetime uniforms. Enough with the Disney pirate ship. Let's have a real Buccaneer identity, is what I say.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So we got something special for you here. So stand by really quick. Where is it at? Oh, there it is right there. Let's go. Boom. Right there. Let's get the other one off. Hold on a sec. Boom. There it is. Turnbuckle Talk. Right on, right now. Wrestling fans, open phone line 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Can we go double screen here? No, it will take away from it. But you could see, go ahead and explain what you kind of did here with this, because it looks like NWO. I love it. So go ahead and talk about this a little bit.
Yeah, man, I just decided to bring the nostalgia back. So obviously, everybody that watches the show, every Wednesdays, 8:00, I'm on here. I told Peter, I said, I'm going to give you 120%. And I like doing the graphic design, and I've always loved the old nostalgic stuff. And I said, hey, Peter, let's do something. When we do Turnbuckle Talk, we have to have a theme for stuff, and we have to keep it fresh. And here we are, our little NWO homage, because in all reality, 1996, it changed the professional wrestling business. It did. 1996, we saw Hulk Hogan turn. It was so iconic.
Yes. And when you're on the sports web, you're for life. Let's go out to this guy right here. Leading it off here. Sun Devil Dave, welcome to the Evolution.
How you guys doing tonight?
Great job. Thanks for wasting my time. Appreciate it.
Great show as always. Love it.
Thanks, man.
Great talk about
thank
Lightning, the Final Four, Women's Final Four, and a little bit of Ray's talk. So
yeah,
amazing stuff as always. I like the little new Turnbuckle Talk logo above your screens there.
Yes.
Make sure you tweet the like button too.
Yes, absolutely. Please, we need more YouTube views. Facebook, we're always trying to work on that. X, of course. LinkedIn Live, we're getting some views on there.
I like that.
And Instagram.
Hey, just real quickly, I know you're talking about Stamkos. I just want to add, like, his numbers with the Predators are just brutal this year. Isn't he like minus 21 plus minus?
Yeah, he's not very good, and he's showing his age. And listen, that's the reason why you trust in
Lightning.
JBB and trust in the Lightning organization, because they knew how to improve the team. And even though it hurts by losing possibly one of the greatest players, if not the greatest player in Lightning history, it was the right move, because it's made this team better. This team is better. They're younger. Defensively, they were able to get better when they made the trades. They were able to free up cap. Gensel has been amazing. And then you make the trades at the deadline. I mean, look out for the Lightning. They could be Stanley Cup champions. I know I'm sound like a homer, but they really could be Stanley Cup champions with the momentum they've had the last couple months.
I feel like a lot of that stuff with Stammer would have been masked if he would have stuck with the Lightning. But I understand why he did what he did. Like, I mean, I've seen the numbers for him. It's underwhelming. I hate to see it. I mean, honestly, my first ever real Lightning jersey was an authentic Steven Stamkos jersey. I went down to Tampa the first time I went down to Tampa, and I bought one. I spent $3 something on it. I think I didn't care because he's a legend, and one day I can hang it up. But watching him in that Predators uniform, it's weird. It's weird, man. And I was kind of hoping that maybe, I think eventually, I don't know, maybe it's not going to work out for him over there. Maybe they release him. I don't know. I'm not too familiar on how NHL contracts work, but I think he needs to come home to the Lightning, man. I think he needs to finish his career as a Lightning player. He does. I don't want to see him go out like that with the Predators.
Yeah, I'm a casual fan of hockey, but just to clarify, if I know they said he was struggling at the center position over the last couple of years, and he was the plus minus, he was hurting the team. But then they talk about, well, he'd be better at the wing. Why wouldn't they convert him and make him more of a wing player?
I think he played the wing a couple of times, right? Was that just on the power play?
He did play some wing, yeah. Right. Absolutely. Yeah.
So I just thought maybe that's a good idea. I have seen a little bit of tidbits that there's rumors that they're going to try to trade him or let him go.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. But Turnbuckle Talk.
Yes.
WrestleMania 41's around the corner.
Yes. What did you think of that, John? What did you think of that, John Cena? Because we're going to get into a Cody Rhodes promo. Because, wow.
It was great. I think Cena just takes it to the next level because of all his acting he's been doing in Hollywood. he's really showing like, you took away everything from me. The fans will just gobble it up. He kind of ripped on Rhodes, saying that, he's basically just there as a pawn, and then Rhodes kind of burned back at the end. He says, well, they never chanted, you can't wrestle with me.
It was insane.
State champ. So it was really good. Turn of events. Cena still played the great heel where, he pretends he's going to hit him and he rocks out. Then Rhodes does a crossroads on him and
Love it.
It's a crossroads. And it's a good build up. I'm trying to figure out,
where's
where
the
it's
Rock
go.
at? Where's the Rock? That's it.
Well, the Rock's doing. He's trying to save the XFL. Looks like they're having a mutiny because XFL players aren't getting paid. So,
well,
the
that's
UFL,
not good. Yeah, that's not good.
Yeah,
that's not good when your players are not getting paid. That's not a good thing.
There's problems with contracts and everything. But I think the Rock's going to come back. Cena keeps talking about taking the belt, and now it's going to be a toy belt. He's going to have the real belt. So I believe that Cena wins at WrestleMania, and then he comes back at SummerSlam.
Do we agree with that? Do we agree with that, Louie?
It has to go that way.
I don't know, man. It's tough because what's going on with SmackDown and Roman and Seth and CM Punk? Like, is CM Punk going to be integrated in that into a triple threat match? So right now, like we talked about this, how the build, they have to perfect the build. And I was I was on the same pace with you guys. Where like, where's the Rock? I don't think they need the Rock right now. I don't think they need the Rock until the week of WrestleMania. I think what John Cena and Cody Rhodes, what they're both doing is phenomenal. And Peter, what did I keep saying? I want to see Cena turn it up a little bit more every week. I don't want to see, because I feel like if he was to turn it all the way up, you go blow your load quick. No, thank you. I want to see him just continuously turn it up. And this week was the week where it was just like, now you're starting to see the insults starting to come in, and something that nobody's really talking about. I don't think a lot of people understand when Cody was referencing Vince McMahon, and he said, you got built by the guy we can't even talk about anymore, and he's not even here.
He's not even here.
He's not even here. And that right there, you're pulling back the curtain. I like that. And not only that, he also hit him with Cena hits him with the I build empires for billionaires. You just steal money from billionaire kids.
From their kids. I make empires for billionaires. All you've ever done is steal money from their kids. He's talking about Tony Khan and Cody. Talk about Cody getting booed in AEW. I mean, there's a list of this. We're going to go through this promo.
I forgot all about that part.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean that was probably the part. Like, I'm telling my girlfriend, she's like a casual wrestling fan, but when because obviously it was on early on the Netflix, and she's working out, getting dinner ready. I'm sitting there watching, taking notes, and I'm just watching this promo. I'm just like, oh my God. Like, you even heard
it. You texted me and said, watch it. And I tried to watch it before the show. I watched it after the show, and I was like, oh my God.
It was well done. Like, one of my favorite interactions between two guys, believe it or not, was in the other company. I guess if you want to call that a wrestling company, AEW, was CM Punk and MJF. That's all I ever wanted to see.
Yep.
And those two interactions that they had when MJF came out, went to shake his hands, CM Punk walked right by him. Following week, I'm like, I want to see Punk and MJF. That interaction with them two, I was like, it does not get better than that. These two guys are meant for each other. But when I seen Cena and Rhodes, that tops the cake, man. And we're not even close to WrestleMania, and that's the funny part. And they keep turning it up just a little bit more.
Well, you're not going to see. I don't believe you're going to see CM Punk or not CM Punk. I don't think you're going to see John Cena until WrestleMania week, because he's getting ready to go away. So that was most likely the last time you got a chance to see him overseas there interact with Cody. Yes.
Don't you think he'll do like the little satellite tape stuff, or he's not?
Nah, Cody's gonna have to carry this. Until the week of Mania. I think it's kind of like Bray Wyatt with the Undertaker. I don't know if you guys remember that build up. I mean, he did a fantastic job building up to that Mania match against the Undertaker. The Undertaker was never really there. He was trying to get prepared for that. WrestleMania, and Bray Wyatt carried that whole segment. I mean, those segments. But I think Cody. This is another thing too. Cody needs to be careful because he almost lost the crowd. He almost lost that crowd. They started chanting for Cena
because John Cena cooked him. He cooked him with
"You are my chauffeur."
You are my we're gonna go through it. It's on Double A.
You still there? Oh.
Yeah, go ahead, son.
So real quick, we talked a little bit about last week. I think WWE and Triple H and TKO Holdings. I think they're really obsessed with triple threat. You know, I think now you're going to see the Ripley, Io, and Bianca. That's going to be a triple threat. Definitely.
Yes.
There's also a rumor that the Intercontinental might be a fatal 4-way with Dominic. What's his buddy? The other guy.
Finn, your guy, Finn. Yeah.
Finn Balor.
Yes.
And then
yes.
And then the new masked luchador guy.
Yes.
Penta.
Penta, yes.
So,
and you got Ray Phoenix.
Wow.
Yeah, you got Ray Phoenix debuting, and you also got Aleister Black, and they also signed Miro today, aka Rusev Day. Yes. So
that's great. And I think that what they're trying to say is, we might as well, make it fatal 4-way or triple threat, get more bang for the buck. You still could have some really solid storylines, and I don't really think of it as being lazy or cutting corners. I think it's great. And I think that the main event of night 2 might be a triple threat as well. If CM Punk gets the favor and he says, okay, if I win this match, I get to fight, against Rhodes and Cena.
That's what I thought too.
3 big triple threat.
Well,
we'll
see. I mean, we'll see. I mean, I don't know. I honestly don't think that. No, I don't think Punk's going to be in that match between Cena and Rhodes. I really don't. I just think that I think Heyman. I'm gonna call my shot right now. I think Heyman's going to turn on Roman.
I do too.
And I think that's the most logical thing because again, for years I was saying the Roman Reigns thing was so stale. The big dog, it was terrible. And then I'm like, take this guy's vest off, make him a Samoan badass, put him with Paul Heyman, and it really happened. And he had a phenomenal title run. He did. And a lot of people didn't like it. I liked it because that just goes to show, like, if anybody could do that outside of Brock Lesnar, it was Roman. I like the idea of them keeping the title on him for that period of time. But it's getting stale now. The whole Paul Heyman thing and him, it's kind of stale. I mean, what else, guys, what else are you going to do with the bloodline? It's pretty much dead. It's done and over with. I'm a little upset that they dropped the ball on Tama. I thought Tama had a lot of potential in the WWE. I really did. I thought that they dropped the ball on him. Although I do want to see something. If Tama Tonga is going to be involved in WrestleMania, I want him to go back to the Gorillas of Destiny face paint for WrestleMania. I'd like to see that. They got to give him a chance, man. They got to slow build him up until like the Intercontinental
I think
status.
Too is the guy that you're going to see them promote more and more.
God, yeah.
That guy's so over, it's ridiculous. Sun Devil Dave, we appreciate the time. Anything else, boss?
I think that's it for today. You guys, great job again.
Great job.
Have a great rest of the week. We'll do a UFL next week. We're gonna spend the whole Monday, at least 2 hours on UFL talk. And,
yes, absolutely.
We'll see you. Have a great weekend.
About 2 minutes of that. Yeah, absolutely. All right, thanks for wasting my time. All right, get out. All right. Curtis, you're trying to call back in if you want to here. We'll read some of the rest of these comments and we'll continue to talk about this unbelievable promo. Let's see. Let's go out to Mike here. Is Whitehead done as a buck? Yes. White does not have the Bucky burst. White skips to the hole. Mike, again, give me another train and the draft. The guy from Arizona. I think you're talking about Arizona State. Scabo? Cam Scabo?
Yeah, it's not like I've heard the name.
Yep. They're playing an ice hockey game at Ray J next year. Can't wait.
That Bruins too. I'm going down there for that. I'm curious to see how much the tickets are.
I'm curious to see too. Yes, sir. I can't wait either. Christopher Cole, CM Punk still wants his favor, and Penta is up and coming guy. He is. That was again another talent dropped from AEW, and you look at.
Don't know why.
Right. Well, you look at Ricky Saints or Ricky Starks. He's tremendous. And then who's the other guy that
Ethan Page.
Ethan Page does an amazing job with on the mic. He was rapping. William. I mean, he is. How do you
Great
drop
heel.
the ball? Lexus King has performed well. You said Sean Spears, he's performed well. Just so many guys leaving AEW.
Got to
and
bring back the NWO for these guys. They'd be
You like
perfect for the younger guys. Yeah, man. I think they should bring back the NWO. I think the only person that can do that is Eric Bischoff.
I
That's
think
it.
it's-
Eric Bischoff. I'd like to see him back in WWE. He's got a great mind. We should try to get him on the show, man. I got to
love
try to convince him.
Yes.
I'm going to see how I can reach out to him and see, because I got a proposal, man. They got to bring back the NWO, and he should take the charge. They owe it to him, because that was bullcrap what Vince McMahon did. Him and Paul Heyman. You remember that time period where we thought
Yes.
Raw and SmackDown were finally going to take that turn? Enough of this bullcrap. And then, hey, Heyman's going to run Raw. Bischoff is going to run SmackDown. And then they let him go after what? 72 hours?
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah.
They owe him that. The only person that can do the NWO is Eric Bischoff. I wholeheartedly believe that. You got Ethan Page, all these guys. I mean, because I'm not gonna lie to you, Peter. I do believe that guys like that, they are very good. But the problem is when you bring up these guys to the main roster, because the talent is a little bit bloated in the WWE. There's so much talent.
Yeah.
You have to kind of make a faction, and they're gonna get lost in the shuffle. We've seen this. Like, look at Damage Control. Io Sky a little bit got lost in the shuffle with the women's division. Who else? There's a few more I can't think of right now, but it happens. And I hate to see guys like Ethan Page, Ricky Saints. I think these guys are perfect for an NWO reboot. I hate saying the word reboot. I know they got like a Shield thing going on, this faction. I don't think that's gonna work. I could be wrong, but I mean, we got to see the NWO and let it start up in NXT. You want to start a big faction? Let's let the NWO start up in NXT.
See, I think it's dead and gone. I think it went dead and gone with the NWO 2000 there, which I don't think Bischoff's up. Of course, Bischoff does the 83 Weeks podcast, so love to have him on the evolution of sports talk television to talk shop. He's an innovator. He's a true genius. Again, I don't think he gets enough credit for taking out Vince McMahon and nearly putting Vince McMahon and WWE out of business for 83 weeks at WCW. What a great time to be a wrestling fan. And then, TNA tried, I guess, kind of same stable there, Immortal. I don't know. This didn't work.
The problem, too many egos. I think that's why I said Eric Bischoff should be the only original NWO member leading that charge, because you're dealing with a lot of younger guys. And I honestly do believe that the WWE needs that real dominant faction. I mean, the Judgment Day is laughable. I really hope they don't put Aleister Black in that situation. I really don't. I'm hoping and praying that they give a good push to Aleister Black, because he definitely deserves it. Also, I mean, go back. I know we talk about him a lot on the show, but I mean, go back and go watch some of those takeovers with him. The Velveteen Dream match. I don't like Velveteen Dream, but go watch that match. That was a fantastic match. The one with Tommaso Ciampa, fantastic match. Tore the house down. This guy knows how to have good matches. But going back to the whole NXT situation, you gotta have, if you're gonna do the NWO, you have to have Eric Bischoff walk into NXT. And it has to start with some of the young talent, corrupting the younger talent, to help them move on and do a real NWO takeover on the main roster. I do believe that's how you're going to build up more than what they are right now. Ricky Saints and Ethan Page and a lot of these guys. I really do, because
Trick Williams.
Trick Williams is another one I could see in that rebooted NWO. You know what I'm saying? And then if you want to bring a veteran presence, why not bring a guy like Finn Balor in? You know what I'm saying? There's your veteran presence, and there's your younger crowd, and then you have Eric Bischoff. You know what I'm saying?
Punk.
Think so?
Yes. It's a perfect line. He comes in.
Oh, yeah, because the whole AEW thing, too, so he's got chemistry. Look at that. See that, Peter? We should work for these guys. We just made him $1 million in sales.
That's it. $1 million right there. That's it right there.
What do you hear? What do you say?
I just want my percentage, man. That's it. I just made Triple H a shit ton of money.
All right. AEW is entering into agreement with WWE Shane McMahon to be the lead in this possible cross promotion incoming. No, it's not. That is a April Fool's joke there. 6040 BRNSN. Appreciate you. I saw Curtis called. Let's see if we can call back Curtis because I want him to call back. I know he wants to talk wrestling and Bucks. So let's see if we can get Mr. Curtis on the line here.
Yeah, that whole AEW WWE thing.
Not available now.
He's not available. No Curtis. All right. So let's go back to the promo here. Yeah, that whole thing, I read that too.
Never happened.
Never happened. John Cena, the other things he said, and they broke this down. A shot at the common man, Dusty Rhodes. John Cena says, if it's not where you put your tattoo at, Cody, it's what your tattoo is that expresses to the world for what you are, a common fan like them. Of course, this is a reference to Dusty Rhodes, who used to say common man. I didn't know that until I looked this up. Cody Rhodes, yes,
turning it up a little bit.
Yes. Cody Rhodes began his interaction with John Cena by highlighting all the cheap shots Cena could hypothetically take against him. He listed his neck tattoo, the Stardust gimmick, and even mentioned getting booed in the company he created. Of course he did. He got booed with that.
A lot.
Yeah. What was the other stuff? That we talked about the Tony Khan stuff. And what else did you take from the promo in itself, why it was so epic? Because I thought Cena did a hell of a job.
Oh, yeah.
And you're exactly right. The crowd, and Cena was doing such a great job. Once again, it's not heel Cena. It's the good guy. And then Cody gets the crowd back with Crossroads and saying, I'll never get told that you can't wrestle, which Cena has gotten told many times that he can't wrestle. So,
and that's what set him off the deep end. And I really, 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 really like that because you thought it was over, and then Cena crosses the ropes because Cody was trying to antagonize him, and again, just you thought it was over because every week we see this. It's Cena coming out. And honestly, I wasn't really big on this match. I said, he's really got to they really have to pull something out of the bag for me to be interested in this main event because they could have done so many different things. Now, when I seen Cena leaving the ropes and then him saying, you know what? Yep, blah, 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 blah. But you know what? At least the crowd never chanted that I couldn't wrestle. And then it was like it touched a nerve because you have John Cena who's basically saying, I don't give a F about this crowd. I don't give a F about these kids, this and that, blah, blah, blah. Because he was kind of like a corn dog a little bit. He was kind of corny the first week when he came out. It was just like, okay. But now he's really intensifying it. And again, that slow build to him. Now Cody's working his nerves, and that touched a nerve. And that's what makes a good heel. And that's what's you're seeing little things. You're seeing little things in the armor of John Cena starting to crack because you know that's eating away at him. And I do think in order for this to continue to work, Cody's got to continue to hit him where it hurts. I don't want to see them overdo it. I don't want to see a half hour of Cody Rhodes talking by himself. I don't want to see that. Maybe, hopefully, because I don't think Cody can carry this whole thing by himself. For that whole, what are we 2-3 weeks away from WrestleMania? 2 weeks away?
Yes. Yeah. A couple weeks away.
2 weeks is a long time to really keep people vested because now what happened is you set the bar so high with this promo. It's almost like they prematured a little bit.
Yeah.
I thought they should have gone on last because I feel like stuff like that kind of takes a little bit from the crowd too because you have high expectations. Remember that WrestleMania a while back ago when The Undertaker lost to Lesnar? And then they had the other match, and the crowd was like dead. You know, sometimes you got to save those things for last. But I think they're not going to tell you, but I think we're going to see The Rock, maybe if not the upcoming week, but most definitely you're going to see The Rock the week of WrestleMania, and you're going to see Cena at the week of WrestleMania.
You should. You should.
We should. It makes sense.
It's been disappointing for me that The Rock, this story, has not been more explained of what the whole soul thing is.
Well, he gave the explanation. Cena gave the explanation.
He did do that. What was the explanation?
It was kind of weird because it was kind of like in riddles. basically saying he's like a sellout champion. He's just a chauffeur, and
Yep.
that's why I did what I did. But I want to hear The Rock's point of view of all this.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Please
All
stay.
we heard.
Don't be Dwayne Johnson. Be The Rock. Be the
Yeah,
final.
that's what I want. I want to see The Rock, like, because I feel like Cena has been like, that's the Cena that you would see at the airport if you asked for an autograph at a certain time,
Right.
And with Cody Rhodes, is it sometimes a little bit watered down? Yes. I mean, deep down inside, guys, John Cena's got a point. Just saying, because honestly, what the best Cody Rhodes was? Go back to when he was running around with the Young Bucks and Adam Cole and stuff. When he just had black hair, a heel, and a leather jacket.
Well, it's called the Bullet Club, and he did the Bullet Club.
Oh, that was another thing. That right there, I can't believe that. I forgot all about that. That whole, and that, it was just like basically like a big FU to John Cena, like, buddy, I'm Bullet Club.
Yep.
And we all know about Bullet Club. I'll be the first one to admit it. Did I ever pay attention to New Japan Pro Wrestling? No, not really. Very rarely. Like, I heard of the guys like Kenny Omega. But I liked Jim Cornette. Jim Cornette's he's a little out there, but I used to hear all the things that Jim Cornette would say about a lot of these guys, and I was just like, yeah, all right, this guy's wrestling a blow-up doll. That's kind of stupid. I don't want to see that. But then you started to see stuff like, I'm talking like AJ Styles' version of Bullet Club, and then you start hearing, like, when I started like getting into a little bit of New Japan is when AJ left TNA, and then he started. I don't know how I came about. It came up on my algorithm on YouTube, like him running around with the Young Bucks, and I was like, "Who the hell are these guys?" And I started seeing it, and that's how I started getting into the Bullet Club, and that's when I started to pay attention New Japan because of Bullet Club. I'm sorry, it's just the truth. I didn't watch New Japan for Ibushi or whatever his name is, or like what's the other one there? It just went to AEW, the Rainmaker, whatever.
Yes.
Yeah. I can't think of his name. Somebody in the comments, let me know. I forget his name, but a lot of these guys that I was paying attention to in New Japan, they were going to Ring of Honor and stuff back and forth, and I was just like, wow, they let these guys do this, and that's how I really found out about guys like Tama Tonga and Tonga Low and all that. It's through Bullet Club, and just to see Cody Rhodes do that, he did that at what was it, the Royal Rumble, the first time, and he did it now. So I don't know. We don't know what can happen, man. We don't know what can happen. There's
who could come in? What wrestlers could come in? Who knows?
That's what I'm saying, because there's gonna be a lot of. If I had to put some money up on it, man. If I have to put a paycheck up on it, I'm telling you right now, I think there's gonna be a lot of outside interference, and I think us as fans are kind of like thinking of the same thing of what happened last year at WrestleMania. Yeah, we had The Rock. Yeah, we had The Undertaker. Yeah, this year we may get The Rock. We probably gonna get Stone Cold, but there's still somebody else, and who could that be? You know what I'm saying? Like this whole, why would he do that? Like that's everything. Everything is subliminal now, man.
It is.
So
it is. It's all foreshadowing, and it's all because of Triple H. That's how he works. 60-40 BRNSN. Believe Naomi is going to screw Bianca at WrestleMania for the title. Agree with that. I love what they did with her, the caution tape, the promo. It's the most intense you ever seen Naomi as a heel. I love it. I think Bianca is going to turn heel with Naomi.
I think so too, because again, I talked about this before. I'm not a fan of Bianca Belair. She's very stale.
Yes. Yeah.
Very stale. It's the whole, it's stale. It is. It's very stale. I mean, right now, if it was up to me, I think that I think they messed up a little bit. I think that match should have been Io Sky and Rhea Ripley.
All right. You're probably right about that. Let's go out to one of our favorite web heads here. Curtis from Newport Richie. Welcome to Turnbuckle Talk.
My brothers.
Look at that. Look at that display. Are you looking at that display right now? That old NWO graphic right there. Turnbuckle Talk. That is so cool.
Listen, don't get me wrong. I love the NWO, but as a guy whose favorite color is red, I love the Wolfpack.
Okay, I could do a Wolfpack. That's not a problem.
All right.
That'll definitely work. We'll definitely
Hey,
do a Wolfpack.
my cousin Steve is on here. He might have been sending y'all some comments tonight.
Well, which one is he?
I don't remember. I don't know.
Comments.
But he's a new commenter, and me and him
6040 BRSN. Is that him right there?
That's probably him.
He's been great. He's great. Thanks a lot for him, man.
Yeah, I love
a lot of
him,
comments tonight, man. A lot of comments.
That's my first cousin, and I put him on to you, and man, he loves it, man. He's here every Wednesday.
Love it.
Nice.
He loves it, man. And me and him were talking about CM Punk challenging Roman for the Ulafala.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
CM Punk's a national treasure, man. That was hilarious when he came out and he goes, "I'm here to sign a contract and chew bubblegum, and I am all out of bubblegum." That was classic CM Punk.
Yeah, man. You know what? Here's the bad part. Well, it's not the bad part. Here's the great part. We thought WrestleMania last year was great.
Mm-hmm.
His WrestleMania has the potential to blow this one completely out of the water.
Yes.
Completely out of the water.
Do we think that though? Do we think that though? I think it was the build-up better last year than it was this year. Maybe I'm wrong about this, but it wasn't better.
Here's the thing. We all knew Cody wasn't going to lose 2 years in a row.
Well, did we?
I kind of felt like Cody wasn't going because he was too over.
Right. I mean, at first we thought it was The Rock. We thought it was going to be The Rock versus Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
So
and then when The Rock pinned Cody that first night, I was like, oh yeah, Roman's going down night 2.
Mm-hmm.
Because also didn't the Usos lost the first night, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, they lost to Sammy and
that was the main event.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, the thing about it is we have great undercards. We're definitely going to have great main events, and I'm happy to see Triple H going to. Listen, Triple H is the only one I know is going to the Hall of Fame. Who else is going to the Hall of Fame this year?
Michelle McCool.
Yeah.
The Natural Disasters.
Lex Luger.
Also, they're doing like a new thing now with the Hall of Fame, honorary match or something like that. I'm not 100% sure, but this year it's been WrestleMania 13.
Let me ask both of you guys something. I'm so apologetic for cutting you guys off. I just got off work. I'm super pumped.
Yeah, man.
And then Michelle McCool, I loved it. Her in the what was it, Layla?
Yeah,
the girl that used to be with her.
Layla McCool, the McCools or whatever.
We all knew her as a cheerleader for the Miami Heat. Whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, to me, when I go back and I look at Michelle McCool, she reminds me of Charlotte Flair before Charlotte Flair.
That's a good point. I like that. That's very good.
She had the same kind of build, and she kind of had that same, excuse my French, boss bitch mentality.
That's true. Hey, listen, we also got a comment here on Instagram Live. BNSS Way. What's going on, Blake? What's going on? Thanks a lot for tuning in there on Instagram Live. Go ahead, Curtis.
Yeah, but Michelle McCool, definitely. I used to love her. She was like, it was, to me, it was her and Trish Stratus. Her, Trish Stratus, and Lita were the women's division. And they kind of reminded me of
love for Mickie James?
I loved the Mickie James, but she was more of like Bailey. Because for me, Lita, Michelle McCool, and Trish were like Sasha, Becky, and Charlotte.
Mm-hmm.
And it's I mean, we're watching history repeat itself with better athletes.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think that's what it is.
Better life skills, better athletes, and now you have Triple H and his ability to have his people around him with his storytelling. The storytelling is so much better. So much better. I mean, me and my kids were talking the other day because their mom watches Soap operas. I said, dude, wrestling is a soap opera.
It is.
It's just got action in it.
Soap opera on steroids, we call that.
Exactly. Exactly. I said, and let me tell you something. For years, there's a lot of dude. My father used to watch soap operas, and I never understood it because it was for the drama. You know what I'm saying? And then we watch wrestling when we used to watch the Attitude Era. You watch Stone Cold come out and beat up McMahon before the show goes off, and guess what? We're all sitting on the edge of our seat because we want to know what the hell is going to happen next week.
Oh yeah, I got suspended because of the Attitude Era. Throw up a couple of birds in a crotch chop, man.
God. And then watch him drink 8 Steve Weisers on his way out the arena.
Well, hey, let me ask you guys a question.
Sure,
with Raw being on Netflix and stuff, I think that's one thing that WWE is missing is the nostalgia of, there was times on Monday Night Raw. I know it was a lot of the times The Undertaker and Stone Cold and stuff like that when they were doing the ministry stuff. A lot of the times they would say, all right, this is all the time we got for, and they'd kill it. And you wouldn't know what happened. Like, you guys remember that stupid feud that they had. I think it was, I'm going to go way back. Let's see if you guys remember this. Val Venus and Kai and Tai. You guys remember that?
Kai and Tai.
Yeah, I choppy, your pee-pee.
Pee-pee.
Dude. But remember, like, they were about to do it, and then boom, Raw went off the air.
Yes.
So it made you wonder. I mean, unfortunately, now we have the internet and stuff like
Let's
that.
go ahead and say this. Val Venus was so inappropriate.
Oh God, yeah.
He wouldn't make it today.
Just the entrance video?
Yeah, Sean Morley would not make it today, and they had Jenna Jameson at that time. It was a porn star with porn stars hanging out, and then they also had John Bobbitt come out.
Wrestling, and see, that was the thing that made wrestling so great back then. It was so raw.
I think that's why WWE's Raw had a little bit of an edge, even though Bischoff and Nitro beat them out 83 weeks. I think that's why WWE recovered, because they were like, all right, you know what? We have to go all in. We have to really, again, turn the switch up.
You know what? Yeah, you're right. The one thing I think a lot of people didn't like about Bischoff, though, was how easy was it to align yourself with the biggest stars on the show?
Oh, that's where they went wrong, though. It's just like, I feel like everybody in WCW was NWO.
You got Austin whooping Vince's ass every week. Like he's finding a new way to entertain us by whooping Vince's ass. I mean, to this day, the funniest Vince McMahon Stone Cold one to me will always be when Vince is in the hospital and he hits him in the head with the bed. Every time I see it,
I like the beer trucks, the Zambonis and the beer trucks, man. Those were like classics, a staple of my childhood, man.
Bang 360.
Yeah.
Bang 360. You just pissed your pants.
Yeah, like those things were classic, man. People don't understand. Like, to the younger generation that's watching, go back wherever WWE, what is it, like Peacock now, right? Go back on Peacock and go watch some of those old Monday Night Raw episodes. They're classic. You can't go wrong with that. I mean, everybody's got a smartphone now. Go on YouTube, just look up old school Monday Night Raw, man. Like, it was so edgy. It was so, and again, I was a hardcore WWE kid, but I remember that time when, WCW was beating out, and I hated WCW. And then I flipped over to the Forbidden channel, and I started watching Nitro, and I was just like, "All right, damn, they're really good."
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and I seen Sting rappelling down. I'm just like, "Geez, right."
Yes, in Chicago Stadium, or the United, whatever. I think it's not Chicago Stadium. It was United
Center. Forum or something like that.
Yes. Need to have Stone Cold to come out this time, says Christopher Cole.
I love when Austin was chasing Booker T.
Yep.
He was chasing him over like the bingo hall.
Yep.
And he caught him at the grocery store.
Yeah, in the
Come on, man.
Man. Classic. Classic.
So classic, man.
Yeah.
I liked it. I don't know if you guys remember, but do you remember when ECW was invading Monday Night Raw, when it was just Monday Night Raw?
Yes.
I felt like they dropped the ball with that in the early. So WWE, technically, I know Tony Khan And I guess if he wants to call that a wrestling company, I'm going to keep saying that. I'm sorry, I have no respect for that company. He can't sit here and say, "Oh, I started the Forbidden Door and I started the interpromotional stuff." No, you didn't. Go back in the 90s, you seen ECW. And I imagine if ECW had now a lot of people, I know people, there's a lot of trolls out there. They like to oh, well, you just said you didn't like AEW because of all the rough stuff. No. Here's the thing with ECW and AEW. ECW was completely different from anything AEW was doing. But then again, I've never seen, I will stick to my guns. That was by far one of the stupidest spots I've ever seen in my life with John Moxley. And I don't even know what that was. There was nails, I presume. Hopefully he's up to date with his tetanus shot. But I mean, again, I don't want to see that. I mean, ECW was a little much. But if you go back and you look at those matches between Rob Van Dam and Sabu or Taz and Sabu, like those are really good. And I hate to bring them up, but like Chris Benoit and Eddie Guerrero, they had some really good wrestling matches.
Listen, you know what? And I know that Chris Benoit gets a bad name. I know he does. Yeah. And, you know, we all know why. We all understand. And you respect people's opinions about it. But what he did in the ring, he was great in the ring.
He's great in the ring.
Great in the ring. Terrible what he did outside of the ring.
Yeah.
Just like it's the same thing with Aaron Hernandez and the Patriots. If you look at him, his body of work in the NFL, fantastic, amazing, generational talent. Him and Gronkowski would have took over the league. Brady probably would have won a couple of more.
No, of course.
Unfortunately, you know, it is what it is. It's sad. That's what it is.
know,
And when Benoit, those kids, that's wrong. You know, it's unfortunate. It is.
I will say this though. It is so surprising. Actually, it's not surprising me. Let me retract that statement before I make that statement. I'm glad that it wasn't Stephanie or Shane that took over wrestling. They needed somebody like Triple H.
Oh God, yeah. Shane would have drove that company out of business.
They needed somebody like Triple H. They needed somebody like him. They needed somebody like Shawn Michaels. And guess what? The thing about Triple H is he goes out and gets all the people that he came up in the ring with, all the experience, all the storytelling. And you know what? That's like, excuse me, it's like running a franchise. If Peter was the owner of the Buccaneers and he didn't know what the hell he was doing completely, he would go out and get people that were experienced in running a team to help him run the team. He wouldn't try to be an asshole like the guy from the Tampa Bay Rays and just try to do it himself.
Right. Right.
It happens.
We ain't gonna talk about that guy. Oh God, I can't stand that guy.
Well, let me ask you this while you're on. Where do you rank the promo between Cena and Cody Rhodes this past Monday? Where would you put that? And how did you feel about that?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't know. And
that was probably one of the all-time best, man. Yeah, I mean,
I'm gonna tell you why.
Okay.
Because people are still conflicted with this whole John Cena thing.
Are you buying it? Have you bought the whole heel John Cena at this point?
It just it doesn't suit him well.
I like it.
No. You like it because it's different.
Right.
No, I like it because I think it's truly how he feels. I think he's doing such a good job with it because I think it's truly how he feels. I think he speaks for a lot of the older guys in that locker room when people go up to them at airports and do all this stuff. Like, I honestly think that there's no way he's that good doing that. I think a lot of that stuff comes from deep down inside and he feels a certain type of way. Because you just don't get ideas out of nowhere. I mean, you've had to go through things and witness things to come up with certain ideas. And I honestly think that him saying a lot of the things that he's saying I mean, because that's got to get to you. Think about that, guys, real quick. And Peter, I'll let you go first. And think about that. You put yourself. It's kind of like, you go out there. Let's just say you're John Cena. You go out there for years and years and years, right? And you're supposed to be a baby face, and then you hear grown men telling you you suck and this and that and blah 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 blah. And how do you take that?
Yeah, I think, at the end of the day, it's a great question that can, definitely be answered in that, it's a part of the business. And then again, it's like, why am I getting booed? And then if I'm getting booed, if I'm getting told I suck, then why am I not turning heel? Why am I doing all this stuff? Well, so it would explain it. But for me, it should have happened a long time ago. I understand why it's happening now, because they need, it needs to be explained, but I kind of understand what's going on to a certain degree. So I could see why he's turned. I can see why he's going to take the belt and go home and make everybody forget about Ric Flair and all this other awful stuff. It works. It works. But from that standpoint, yeah, you can see why he turned heel. The same thing happened with Hogan. They talked about it. Hogan started to get booed after he was getting cheered for so many years.
Well,
and that's why they turned him heel.
Here's the thing, and I'm going to say this. I agree with both of y'all. Here's the thing that people forget. Haters are going to hate. Who was just like Hogan, who was bigger than John Cena? Every kid in America had a John Cena shirt. Every kid that had a Make-A-Wish, they wanted to see Johnson. How many Make-A-Wishes did that guy do in like 2 years?
Mm-hmm.
He did like 500 Make-A-Wishes in 2 years.
Yeah, it's a crazy number. But I think right now is the best time for him to do what he's doing. I mean, it's the end.
Absolutely. And
I think we're going to look back and reflect and be like, hey, you know what? After the body of work is completely finished, I think we'll have the same conversation a year from now, right? And I think we're going to reflect back and we're going to look and we're going to say, hey, you know what? Depending on how the WrestleMania main event ends, I'm already after Monday night's promo between these two guys, I'm hooked. I don't really care about anything else. I'm waiting for that main event at WrestleMania night 2 because there is so much, kind of like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Why are they restructuring all these contracts and creating cap space? Now you take a look at right now, what's going to happen in the main event? Because in all reality, to everybody out there, in all reality, we just assume that Cody Rhodes is going to win. But we never really thought about, well, what happens if he doesn't? Let that sink in. What happens if he doesn't?
I picked John to win. I picked John to win.
I think John. I think it's almost predetermined at this point that John Cena is going to win.
I think we got to pay close. I think we got to pay close attention to.
I also picked Jey Uso to win.
I think we should also pay close attention to upcoming contracts that are coming to an end in certain places, because if they're going to slowly build this up, you know what I'm saying? If they're going to extend this, I don't know, what did Cena say that until WrestleMania? I don't think he's going to end it at WrestleMania. I think probably the end of this year is the end of his run. You know what I'm saying? Depending if he has any movies lined up. But I think probably by SummerSlam, I think he calls it quits. Because in all reality, guys, I mean, SummerSlam is another version of WrestleMania, in my opinion. It is. Yeah, it's the summer version of WrestleMania. So
that's like you have your four big wrestling events every year. You have Royal Rumble, which is always huge. Always huge. You got WrestleMania, you got SummerSlam, you have Survivor Series. Those are the big four.
Yeah,
that's how I see it.
They got one thing that I kind of hope that they do, and I don't want to get off topic too much here, but I think they need to bring back the King of the Ring as a permanent pay-per-view. Yes. I would like to see the King of the Ring as a permanent pay-per-view, and I don't want to see all these like gimmicky, bad blood and this and that. I mean, if you want to hold on to all that stuff, leave that to the NXT stuff. I want to see them bring back a like they call it the premium live event. I want to see that brand in your house. I want to see that nostalgia come back in your house. Remember those pay-per-views they used to do? Those were some of the best pay-per-views. One of the greatest, the first original Hell in a Cell match was in your house, right? With Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker. Oh, no, the second Hell in a Cell. But I mean, I'd like to see some nostalgia stuff like that. But speaking of nostalgia, I think at the end of this run, I think we're going to look back and say, hey, John Cena, I think everything he did with the heel run, I think it's perfect. It's a slow build the way it needs to be. And I think there's something up Triple H's sleeve because I didn't get a chance to say this, but a lot of people are criticizing this card, guys. They are. A lot of people are not too happy with this WrestleMania. I've been reading a lot of stuff. Oh, this WrestleMania is not building up to what it's supposed to be, yada, yada, yada. Look, I promise you right now, this is going to be one of those WrestleManias that really fly under the radar. I think you're going to see a lot of good wrestling on that card. And I think you're going to see a lot of, because I think we got an overload of surprises last year. And that was Triple H's first one. You know what I'm saying? Real first WrestleMania putting on. And he did a fantastic job. I think this year he's going to focus more on, and he says it himself at the press conferences, it's long-term storytelling. He said that when Cody lost the first time at WrestleMania to Reigns. And it's the same thing here. I think Cody is the guy that's the underdog, not as edgy as Stone Cold, but like I said, I think something's gonna happen at WrestleMania. I don't know, man. A lot of cool stuff, man. A lot of cool stuff lined up for WrestleMania. But I think you're gonna see a really good card. And Braun Breaker, guys like Braun Breaker and Penta, they're gonna tear the house down. You watch.
Yeah. Curtis.
It's exciting. It's exciting to watch. It's exciting to anticipate.
Yes.
And this is definitely a great time to be a wrestling fan again.
It is, my friend. I appreciate the call. We're going to wrap this up in just a little bit because we're almost to 4 hours, but we appreciate you as always, brother. All right. Thanks for calling
absolutely, bro.
All right. I think we're going to wrap it. We're going to wrap it with this comment here because I know we got some other things to talk about. Bad times don't last always, but bad guys do. Let's see here. Let me go out to this here. We talked about it already. Miro, according to the April 2nd PW insider Mike Johnson, who says he's confirmed with multiple sources that Miro was at WWE headquarters in Stamford, Connecticut all day today. Johnson's WWE contacts tell him that Rusev, the name of Miroslav, I'm not going to even try to, from 2010 to 20, signed with the company, was at HQ today. Johnson notes that CJ Lana Perry, Miro and Rusev's frequent on-screen partner with whom he recently reunited with off-screen as well, was not with him at WWE HQ. Insiders report close by saying there's no word when Rusev will return on camera, but he's back in the mix. Also, Cody had this to say when it comes to John Cena. He told Fox here, Digital, I look at a lot of stuff now like John in my match at WrestleMania 41. I really look at it like it's the first time ever. John was somebody who came in and not right away, but he did find his footing quickly in terms of who John Cena was going to be. He waved that flag, carry his brand very firmly, very in a disciplined manner for as long as he did. Really helped pull the wagon at WWE during a transitional period as well. I feel like he's always been that John for me. Good guy or bad guy, you needed to work as hard. If not harder, you need to get to his level. Otherwise, he was going to step over you and then leave you in the dust. So now looking at the matchup, that's why I say it feels like a first time ever for me, because early in my career, I hadn't found my footing. I didn't know who I was. And now, especially judging from these past several interactions in the ring, I feel like we do know who each other are now. I couldn't have put it in my wildest dreams that it would be a WrestleMania headline match and main event, especially under the circumstances it comes under. But that's the beautiful thing about pro wrestling. It's tough to call. He also says this about Travis Scott earning his receipts. He says during the Elimination Chamber, Cena portrayed Rhodes, stabbed him in the back. Fans also saw The Rock and Travis Scott launch a brutal attack on him. While Johnson whipped Rhodes, Scott landed a hard slap on the champion, reportedly leaving him injured. During the interview for Complex, he said, I am not mad as much, but I am looking and my eyes are open for what will inevitably, what we will call a receipt. If Travis Scott ever makes his way back into the WWE fray, maybe there's a receipt for Travis. Prior to this, though, By the way, I was a Travis Scott fan. I bought those sneakers on Sneaker Shopping. He says, I look at a lot of stuff now with John. So he talks about John Cena. He talks about Travis Scott, your initial thoughts, and then we'll end it off there because it's almost 4 hours. And this has been an amazing show, but go ahead and just give me your initial thoughts and we'll wrap it up there, my friend.
Hey, I got to be up at 4:30 in the morning, but I'm used to it. That's all right. I'm used to it. I'm looking forward to the potato receipt he's gonna give him. I really am. I'm gonna play that over and over and over again. But yeah, I mean, look, again with this WrestleMania main event with Cody Rhodes and John Cena. Who knows? Maybe this match will only be like 10 minutes, 12 minutes. Maybe there's gonna be some stuff going on. Maybe they're gonna just beat the holy hell out of Cody. I don't know. It's listening to those comments by Cody again. That's him in the media continuously building up this match. I don't know what's gonna happen. I really don't know what's gonna happen. I mean, my take on everything is I'm very excited to see this. And that just goes to show too that Travis Scott is definitely going to be involved. So we are going to see The Rock. We are going to see Travis Scott. We're going to see those guys sooner than we think. I believe. As far as Miro goes, I don't know what WWE plans on doing with him. I thought they had a very good build with him when he was with Lana. Then obviously we saw what happened. Lana kind of lost the Russian accent. And then it just kind of spiraled into this weird love triangle with Bobby Lashley and weird stuff. And then the Rusev Day. I didn't like the Rusev Day stuff. Again, like I said about Roman Reigns, I'm going to say about Miro or / Rusev. To bring this guy back, you need to rebuild a lot of... they have a lot of ground to cover because AEW completely, excuse my language, shitted on him. They did a lot of... didn't he come in with blonde hair at one point in AEW? Yeah, yes. So again, sometimes you just can't... I understand these guys want creative control, but if I'm sitting down with, like, say if I'm a writer for WWE and I have to work with Miro, hey, you got to introduce Miro / Rusev, depending on what you're going to call him, I'd go by his real name at this point. I would have him come out and just kind of, voice his opinion after beating the hell out of a few people. You need to build him back up into this Russian badass. It works. And he cannot be face. He has to be a heel. That's the only way this is going to work. Or you can go in another direction. If you really want that cheap pop, you bring Miro back and you have him go at it with Gunther. There you go.
That would be amazing. Good stuff, Louie from the Frozen Pyra podcast. Appreciate the time here on Turnbuckle Talk. And of course, all right, my friend.
Absolutely.
All right, brother. I'll see you next Wednesday. Get some sleep.
Oh, I will. I'm gonna pass out within the next 10 minutes, guaranteed.
All right, brother.
Peace.
See you next week. There we go. Right there. Let's go out to this right here. We'll end off with that. Thanks a lot to all the guests of the night. Of course, Leo Haggerty, former Coach Scout and now media member of Night Sports Productions and Amped Up Sports. We the Thunder, Shooter and Schoolie. Thanks a lot for their time. Thanks a lot to the twins with Leo Haggerty there, DiBiase. We'll have the father on, I believe, next Wednesday talking about the NCAA tournament. You got the women's tournament this weekend. You got the men's tournament on Monday night finishing up. You got the Rays playing, and we don't know what the Bucks are doing at this point, restructuring lots of contract again. Lots of things going on here on the Sports Web. Keep it locked because we got you covered. Any breaking news happens, we got you. As always, like and subscribe to the Sports Web on YouTube. Friend me on Facebook at Peter H. Blake. We'll keep it low because the roommates are sleeping. Bring your passion. Bring your excitement. Just don't bring any nonsense. I'm your host, Peter Blake, your Rolex reporter. What time is it? It's my time. For fans of the Sports Web and the Tampa Bay sports fan, it's your time. We'll see you next time on the evolution of Sports Talk Television. As we always say here on the show to end it off, go Bucks.